Yo, 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 YouTube, what is going on? It's Wednesday night, so that means it's time for the live stream featuring Charlie. Charlie's not going to be here for a little while. Charlie had something else to do tonight. So we're going to have some fun without him for a little bit. We have some topics to cover, but I think since Charlie isn't here, I'm going to use this as a little bit of selfish time, and I'm going to do some of my show off of mail day. Talked a little bit last week about some nice stuff I had coming in that I was expecting to come in, and it did. So I want to show off a few things that I've been buying and get your feedback on them. So it's a bunch. So I'm gonna turn around, grab a couple things, and we'll take a look. So we'll go over this little box first. This is actually a couple different lots. This one is no big deal. It's about 13 low end Jordan cards that I got pretty cheap. I paid about $8 for these. So anytime you get Jordans for under $1, but the big winner in this one is the Sports Illustrated for Kids Michael Jordan. You guys know my affinity for Sports Illustrated for Kids. I'll be talking about that again tonight, as that continues to be a good source for me. And so I like that lot specifically for that. A couple other decent cards in it too, but that was the big hitter. This one is a couple of Heroes cards. So also one of my favorite plays. These don't sell that well, like when you go to look at them online, that kind of thing. I know they're not super hard pulls. This is from Prestige 2022. It's Brady and Mahomes, basically the two quarterbacks that I buy. And I think they're so well done. They're very, kaboomy looking, with the comic book style. The backs are really cool. Nice colors, very 90s insert looking. And I got both of those for $11, I think. Yeah, so it was like $5.50 a piece. I think that's a steal for um, Brady and Mahomes. Nice high end, higher looking short print inserts. All right, this one here, kind of alluded to this a few minutes ago, but it's another Sports Illustrated for Kids lot. This was a particularly good one. You have to kind of know what you're looking for because there's a lot of strange, um, sports and things in these. But I did get this lot with a Kelly Slater rookie card. So if you know anything about surfing, you know Kelly Slater is the legend. He's considered the GOAT of surfing, if you want to call it that, of all time. There's a tiny nick in it there, but I still feel like there's going to be super good value in that, and I didn't pay very much for this lot. There's also Elisa Fernandez, who's a very popular women's softball pitcher. Dominique Dawes. Anytime you have gymnasts, Team USA gymnasts, that's a good one. Let me see what else is in here. Jaromir Jagr, big name in hockey. Kent Steffes, probably the best known beach volleyball player. It's a Shaq, first year Shaq in here, but it's not in very good shape. I don't know what happened down here, and then also down here. But maybe I can get a little something for it. Drazen Petrovic is kind of interesting. I literally just sold one of those like 2 days ago. Nick Faldo, Sterling Sharp. I've sold a few of those. He's got the fan base. No, I just knocked the thing off here. Whoa. And then I got this one. Here's Tom Kite. If you're in the chat tonight, throw a message up so I know who's in here. Rod Woodson, sold a few of those. Let's see. This is a good one. Ava Mataya. She is considered the best female billiard player of all time. I've had a few of these, and I sold them at $3 a piece. So maybe I'll increase the price on that one. Here's a Griffey. Griffey stuff always does well. Here's a Gretzky. First Sports Illustrated, Christy Yamaguchi. Let's see. Hey, there's Brian Jorgensen. Hi, Brian. Brian says, nice SI Kids pickups. Thank you very much. I have to change the lettering because I don't like that. Try that. No, try that. There we go. That looks much better. Okay. Let's see. Dottie Mockery. I'm not sure who that is. Golf. But Golf always does well out of this stuff. This is a good one. Matt Hoffman. Anybody who knows BMX biking, Matt Hoffman is legend. Chris Mullen. I've just sold a few Chris Mullins this week. You got Maddox, Ripken, some regular good names there. Bonds. I don't want to spend too much time on just this. I've got a lot of other stuff to show. Lindros, he was the man when I was starting in cards. He was the big thing everybody talked about. Julius Erving, Jim Brown just passed away. Rest in peace. I've sold a few of those. They do really well. Same with Sugar Ray Robinson, boxing legend. Lou Gehrig. I don't know who this is, but I've sold a couple. Rod Laver, tennis legend. Marino. Jenny Thompson, swimmer. I've sold a few of those. Patrick Waugh. Spud Webb. Love that guy. And then here's another really good one, Agassi. I saw one of those just sold for like $5, I think, on the past couple days. So definitely gonna be some good return in those. Lots of nice cards. Some of them need to be cleaned up a little bit. They weren't maybe torn out the best. But it's kind of an easy fix with those cards. It's nice. All right, let's do this one. I left this one in the box because I thought the packaging was awesome for this. So I'm not going to show you all these because there isn't specifically any amazing cards in here. A couple of decent names, but these are all 1970 tops. Normally I have to pay like at least 75 cents a piece for 1970 tops cards. And I got all these for like 25 cents a piece. He just listed the buy it now that low. So I was really happy about that because that's a nice pickup. So that one's just a value buy more than anything. I do sell a lot of 70s top stuff. Okay. A couple more here. I don't want to take up too much time doing this, but I got this. I'm buying a lot of if you watch the channel or you've seen any of these lives, I buy a lot of Erling Haaland. Here's some more. So I've got a couple of these Blue Wave inserts from Stadium Club Chrome. I really like those. Here's another one. Then here's just the plain old refractor version. Nice card with the cup. Looks cool with the crowd in the background. And then a Merlin. Actually, is this Finest? Yeah, this is Topps Finest footballers. So some nice Holland cards I can add there. They just won the Premier League, of course. Manchester City, that is. This is kind of a one that I talk about a lot where I buy checklists. So unmarked older checklists are gold. And a lot of times you can find them cheap. People don't think they're worth anything. And so they'll sell them cheap. So these are all unmarked. These are from 77. No, that can't be right. 76, I think. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. I honestly don't remember, but from the mid 70s, I believe. So those are good. This lot I thought was pretty cool. I was looking for more promo cards. Is that something that I constantly try to have? And these were Wizard Comics promo cards. And they're pretty cool. So this is She, or Shy, however you want to pronounce it. It's an Asian comic. I think that's from Top Cow, maybe. Anyway, so this is the back promo card. This one's really cool. This die cut Iron Man. Marvel, obviously. This one's pretty cool too. Batman versus Wildcat. It's a die cut. These are really sweet. This is Darkness. This is out of Top Cow, and it's a refractor. I think all their promos are refractor. Look at this Blue Ice Superman. Pretty cool refractor. One of my favorite comics back when I was reading them, Witchblade from Top Cow. Nice refractor there. Vampirella. This one, Nightwing. He was one of my favorite DC comics. Hopefully, they don't make a movie of him and screw him up. Here's Dark Clyde. Isn't that nice? She-Hulk and Fairchild. She-Hulk is hot right now with her Disney Plus show. And then this one, I don't really know what this is, but Divine Right. Just really, really cool looking. You can get them pretty cheap. They're all promo cards, so there isn't as many printed. I honestly think sometimes they do a better job with the promo cards, like design-wise and stuff, because that's basically their advertising. I think what you got was how those came was you got one with Wizard Magazine, Wizard Publication, whatever you want to call it. Brian wants to take the Batman off my hands. Maybe we can work something out. We'll see. And then last for my promo cards, this is taking a bit of a fly on, but I paid $10 for this entire stack. It's pretty much a whole set plus a couple, bonus cards. These are called Melting Pot. And it's a series made by Kevin Eastman. And if that name sounds familiar, Kevin Eastman is the creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So they're all these kind of lizard alien looking type guys. I guess that's his sort of his specialty. But there's this Cracked Ice bonus card that I got. And then they're all chrome. And they're different and they're cool. And I thought for $10 for the whole set, I'd take a shot at it and see if I can do anything with them. If not, they're cool. I'll hang on to them. Taking a $10 fly on a lot of 200 Chrome cards is not a bad way to spend your money, I think. Anyway, that's just a few of them. I'm not going to show you the whole lot, but some really cool stuff in there. I really like those. All right, let's see what else we got. All right, so I got a couple little lots here. There's somebody that was listing a bunch of different Terry Bradshaw lots, and I pick up Bradshaw stuff every once in a while. He's got good hobby. He's everybody knows him from Sunday Football. So this is a couple of the sticker cards, which I actually think are pretty underrated. And then a couple of, I think that's 83 tops. It's nothing too significant, but I think I paid $4 for all four of those. So not a terrible pickup. Here's a couple more checklists. There's 5 of them, I believe. These, I don't know what year these are either. For a long time, Topps never put the year on their cards. And so you have to kind of figure them out. I think this is 74, I want to say. I don't know. Small lot of Rodgers. I've been buying up some Rodgers stuff. I think his stuff's going to get hot beginning of the season when he shows up in the Jets uniform. And I liked this lot. It was small, it was cheap, and they're all more difficult to get cards. So this is the Panini Aaron Rodgers from Black Friday. I don't know if you can read that down there, but it says Black Friday. And then this one is the die cut intros from an older Prism set. This is from 15 Prism. So I like that card there. And then this is another Panini shorter print. This is from the National in his Cali uniform. So I thought the Cali uniform one would be cool too, because Jets fans might not want to get cards of him in a Packer uniform, and I don't know. Then, and I'm trying to stock all my quarterback stuff as big as I can. I bought this, tried something a little different. I searched just for a QB lot. So I've got this 40 or 42 card lot, pretty cheap because it wasn't one specific player. I think I paid like $12 or $13 for these, but there's a bunch of Mahomes. There's some Mahomes parallel. There's the red score, which I like with team colors, team color match. Here's the base version, so you can see there's a red and a base. Elite. This is pretty cool. This is a second year playoff card. His second year cards are selling pretty well. Time stamped insert out of Prestige. There's a little bit of Burrow in here, so there's a season ticket base. Here's the green Field Vision parallel. It's a Burrow Elite, a Burrow Illusions. Burrow base stuff sells really well. I expect those guys would be come flying out of the gate pretty hot this year. So I want to definitely be as stocked up with Burrow and Mahomes stuff as I can. Then we got some old school greats. We got some Montana score, a Burrow NFL 5. Kind of funny. I thought I was the only one who heard about this. There's some T-Law in here. Herbert. I think this is a parallel. Maybe not. There's another T-Law. A little bit of Brady. There's some Mosaic and Elite. Burrow with the mask. Some more Brady. I literally just sold one of these 2 days ago, I think. So it's all about signal collars insert does okay. Brady, Burrow. So it's all big name QBs. There's no junk or anything, but I thought 40 cards for $15 of top quarterbacks. Trying not to buy too much just Brady now because he's not playing anymore. But I'm definitely willing to take him in a lot with some of the other current star QBs. Mahomes being number one, of course. I think T-Law is going to have a pretty big year. And his hobby is going to grow some. I mean, he already has hobby because he was a top pick and all his hype and all that good stuff. But yeah, I think he's really gonna boom this year. Oh, that's because I have more than one bag. Why don't these fit back in here? All right. Let's see. Now we're gonna move on here. This I try to add a new player once in a while when I can get a lot really cheap, especially if there's inserts and stuff in it. And I found this lot of Kirby Puckett. So I've never really bought a lot of Kirby Puckett. I've stumbled upon some, over time, just buying different lots and things. But I got this lot of 200 Kirby Puckett cards for $20, I think. So basically it was like 10, 15 cents a card, something like that. I don't know, I can't math right now, but yeah, so got a nice big lot. There's definitely some base cards and stuff in here, but I'm trying to build out a little bit more baseball player list, if you will. Let me just see if Charlie's bugged in yet to. Okay, he said he's on his way home, so we should have Charlie here pretty soon too. Let's see what else we got. This one I like. Right after I said I don't generally buy big Brady lots anymore. This is a big Brady lot. But I liked some of the different stuff that was in it, if you will. There's a bunch of these strata base. I don't get a lot of strata. Some earlier elite. I think this is 16, 17. Air Marshals die cuts. There's some decent parallels or inserts in here. Here's an 08 Topps Chrome. Some earlier Prism. This cool blue airmail parallel score. That's Extreme Team from Absolute. Yeah, so nice die cut. Some money right there. Legends in the Making from Topps. This one I thought was cool. This Terry Bradshaw and Brady matching numbers. Triumphant. I've bought some of these in the past. Phoenix inserts, they do pretty well. Let's see what else we got. Here's a extra points parallel. Valor does pretty well. Valor and Fire are two. They kind of look the same. Totally different sets, but they kind of look the same, and they do well too. Here's another Strata, different year. This is pretty awesome. This Forces of Nature, Brady. This has to go for pretty good money. I bet I could make more than half my money back just on this card. Some earlier Bowman. Here's an 08 Bowman. More Bowman. Topps Platinum. Don't sleep on Topps Platinum. That stuff sells well. Here's a Fire card. Base. Here's another extra points. Prestige. 4,000 yard club insert from Topps. Couple of Ticketmasters. Earlier contender stuff. Here's another Valor. Let's see. This one I thought was pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever even had one of these. This is Prime Timers. It's an insert in Topps Prime. Topps Prime has like a hidden fan base or something, I think, because all of a sudden I'll sell a whole bunch of those at once. This Score blue camo, so cool with the color match to the uniform. So there was just some nice stuff in here. Some earlier Bowman again. You don't find lots like these real often. Here's another Fire. A couple more Platinum. At least not anymore. A lot of this stuff's been scooped up. Contender MVPs, those always do pretty well. All right, then we got a few more in this lot. Let's take a look and then move on. I think I only have one or two more lots to show. This one I thought was interesting. I've had these Bowman Blacks before, but this is like a refractor foil. I don't think I've seen this before. I mean, it probably looks better if you take it out of the sleeve, but look at this thing. Isn't that cool? So I think that'll do pretty well. Like a rainbow foil version or something. Some earlier Topps. This is cool. This is Valor, but it's the Speed. Like second tier card, if you want to call it that. More early Bowman. Here's a couple of 17 Prisms. Now remember, there's no new 17 cards that are coming out because you're not going to open a box of that with the value of it because of Mahomes being in it. There's another Platinum. This is nice. The second year Prestige. Second year Brady stuff does well. Another extra points. Here's the Fire, the foil parallel. On Fire, whatever they call it. Really cool looking. That'll do well. Wade icons. Let's try to see if there's anything. Here's the thick Topps Prime card. So there's a regular one, and then there's like a thicker one, a 50-point stock. Got one of those. Here's another Fire. Here's another Platinum with the blue. Touchdown Club. This is 16 Panini, but it's the rainbow foil parallel. Pretty neat. Aerial Attack out of Topps Magic. I like those cards. A Millennium Men insert. So just, yeah, some really cool stuff. I'm really happy with these. All right. For those of you watching, shoot some feedback. Let me know what you think of these. Did I make some fun buys? Did I buy stuff you wouldn't buy? Run out of space with this stuff. I really gotta do some work in my office here and get some of this stuff taken care of. All right, so so I think the last one I got here is this guy. This is a big one. So magazines. That's right, magazines. But not just any magazines, of course. Sports Illustrated for Kids magazines with the cards intact. So I paid $2 an issue for these, which is a pretty good deal considering you get each issue. I think there's one or two issues that actually don't have cards in them. which I knew that ahead of time, but the rest of them do. But there's 9 cards in each issue, and there's some really good ones in here. You know, Abby Wambach doesn't have very many cards. Team USA soccer hero. You got an early Durant there, Clayton Kershaw over here. Shaun White snowboarding up there. There's a Gronk. You know, and that's just one magazine. There's obviously, you know, a page of these in every single one. So there were some pretty good like first year ones. I'm trying to sort of get it spread out with them as I can. I'm not trying to buy like the same lots of cards every time. So this one's kind of cool. It's got Clint Dempsey, another Team USA star. Couple of then you got a Kobe up here. Never go wrong with a Kobe. Roy Halladay, Stafford. Lately, I've been selling a lot of Stafford stuff. But you got a female golfer. You've got a Olympics, gymnastics. You know, all stuff that sells really well. We'll take a look at one more, and then that's going to be it for my show and tell. Oh yeah, see, this one didn't have cards in it. It just has a poster. What is the poster of? Hanley Ramirez is the poster. So I don't think I'll be cutting that out and putting it on my wall at all, but let's see. Yeah, there were 2 magazines that didn't have cards. So let's see. This one has the cards in it. So this got Victor Cruz is up here, a female swimmer. Maurice Jones-Drew. You got a surfer there. You've got Tony Stewart for NASCAR. So yeah, just a really nice mix. Almost all cards that I didn't have. These were 2012, most of them. Oh, there's a I'm not going to dig through it, but there's a Mike Trout in here, first year rookie Mike Trout from 2012 as well. That should be good money all on its own. So I thought it would be kind of fun. Obviously, I'm gonna get the cards out of those, but I also thought it would be kind of fun to look at some of those old issues and see what's in them and read some of the articles and stuff. So I did just make. I'm not going to spoil it for next week, but I did make it a pretty amazing purchase yesterday. It was confirmed shipped today, so I should definitely have it before next week's live. So I'm going to save it for that. Have some nice show and tell. You guys will be the first ones to see what I pulled on that. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff to the YouTube channel too if you enjoy my videos. You want to be notified when there's the next live, things like that. I try to update that as much as possible. And most of my videos are sales videos, but I sell really interesting cards, I think. And I get positive feedback on those videos, so I'm going to continue to do those. Let's see. So our topics for tonight. Let me see if Chuck's back yet. He's going to hate me for calling him Chuck. I don't see that he's in here. Let me see if he's in the guest pool. No. Okay. So we're going to keep going. We'll get started without him. So killer lot purchase, that's going to be something we'll talk about next week. I want to cover tonight eBay lines of credit and possible grants. There is a grant available to eBay business builders that's expiring tomorrow. So yeah, sorry, sort of short notice on this one. But I think it's something that if you're just getting started, so this is more on Charlie's end here, it's a great way to pick up some quick capital to use to grow your business. It's not a loan. I looked into it. Charlie, I think, looked into it a little further than me, so we'll maybe retouch that topic. Maybe I'll save that topic till he gets here in the next few minutes. Next topic is the end game goal. What do you want to accomplish in your low-end card selling, your collecting, whatever it may be? What's our end goals for those? What do you really hope to achieve? And then an experience I had this week, and I'm going to start with this because this is a topic for me. It's nothing that Charlie had experienced. But for the first time ever, I left a negative feedback for a seller on eBay. I've been in eBay since 1995, I want to say. I was early on there. I was selling little headliners figures. Remember those little sports figures that's supposed to look like different players? I was buying those. They were clearancing them out at a lot of stores. I was getting them for like 15, 20 cents a piece, and then I was throwing them up on eBay and making some money on those. Anyway, I've never left a negative feedback before, but I purchased a small lot. I'm going to tell you what happened and why I had to leave negative. Um, eh. So Jayhum, welcome to the party. Charlie will be here. Charlie had a family obligation that ran a little long for him tonight. So he did just message me. He's on the way back. So I would think in the next 15, 20 minutes, he'll be joining us. I know the show is a lot easier to watch when it's two people bantering. So I'm excited to have him here too. He does add a lot to the show. Um, so we're certainly going to have plenty of things to talk about once he gets here. But anyway, so my negative experience, what happened was about a week ago, I bought a lot of Mahomes cards. It was like 8 Mahomes cards for $2.50. So it was an auction. I had bid on it. And I mean, that's an amazing price for 5. I think they're mostly Zenith cards, inserts. So I was happy to pay for that. Paid for them. And then I kind of finally looked at the seller's history a little bit. Um, Feedback score was like a 96%, which is not very good on eBay. I thought, well, newer seller, whatever. Well, come to find out, as I was digging through some of those feedbacks, what he does is he would sell. I'm assuming it's a he. It's a him in the profile picture. But anyway, so for sake of argument, we're going to say him. He would sell the item, not respond at all to conversations with the buyer, and then wait 30 days to ship the item. So I bought which is ironic because today is actually day 30. I bought the cards on May 5th, right? Must have been May 6th. And today is what, the 7th? So that would be right because there's 31 days in May. Anyway, um, and I have no recourse. Like there's no way I can report it to eBay. I can't request a refund. I can't uh recall my PayPal payment, nothing like that. So it's super weird that it would be a whole month. But I've tried. I've sent probably 20 messages to this guy, never got any response. And so I didn't really feel like I had a choice. I thought, well, maybe if I leave the negative feedback, I'd get some sort of message from the seller trying to resolve it to save face, maybe get me to retract my um, negative feedback, something like that. To no avail. Still haven't heard from them. I've asked for a refund a bunch of times. I thought after 30 days, eBay would just jump in and refund me. But now when I go to the listing, it doesn't even have an option to um, look at some of that information on the listing. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to message eBay and be like, you can't. I find it kind of insane that somebody can sell something and they can wait 30 days to ship it. I know that there's different shipping policies. You don't have to do 1 day shipping, things like that. But um, I don't know. It was just crazy to run into that situation. So I felt compelled to file the negative because I didn't know. There really isn't anything else that I can do. So that was my situation. So have any of you ever run into something like that? Have you ever had to leave negative feedback? Have you ever waited a month for somebody to ship you 5 trading cards, 8 trading cards, whatever the heck it was? And he charged, on top of that, I should point this out, he charged me $5.20, something like that, to ship them. So he was charging me like priority mail shipping rate for these 8 cards. And on top of it all, never mailed it or anything. Never acknowledged it, never left me positive feedback. There's no communication at all. So it's super weird. I went to his profile just to see if he had other things for sale. Because I thought, well, maybe I can go on another listing and send a message and that'll pop his attention because it's something he's trying to sell. But now he has no listings up either. So very, very strange, poor experience. Nice thing is, even if I get burned on this, it was like $7, $8 or something like that total. eight something, I believe. So it's, if it's a lesson learned, to look to vet the seller a little bit more in the future, then it's a lesson learned for that. So let's talk a little bit about the end game goals. Okay. So I think when we get started in something like this, or we decide we want to take this on, selling low end sports cards, um, which is kind of my model for what I do for my business. Basically, my goal was to just be able to buy lots to get cards that I wanted and then sell the remainder, because individual cards were more expensive than buying lots and having other stuff to trade or whatever. But I started piling up these stacks of cards, mainly Favre cards. That's my PC. Anyway, I started piling up these stacks of cards, and wasn't being, just using my little bit of auctions that they give me each month. And I'm going to talk to Charlie about this too when he gets here, and have him share some of his experience, as he has some big news to share tonight. But I got to the point where I didn't really have enough auctions to move. They weren't great cards to auction. They're $1 cards, $2 cards a lot of times. And so that's when I decided, okay, well, I'll open a store. Now, I've had a store on eBay a couple times before, doing the gaming miniature stuff, and then I was doing, like I said, those headliners figures. Um, Let me go grab. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in case you don't know what the headliners are. I actually have one laying over here. I'll be right back. Okay, so this one's still in the package because there was a promo one, but you can get the idea. So this is a Brett Favre one. Okay, so there were these little, like, 3-inch figures, had giant heads. So kind of like Funko before Funko, on a small scale. So anyway, I had started stores before and kind of left those businesses at some point doing other things. And so I decided that, okay, well, let's do it with cards. So I jumped in, I started listing a few things. Well, then they came out with, like, the premium store package, where in certain topics, or in certain categories, you could list a lot more cards. So they had upped it to basically, this was during the pandemic, they could up it to basically like 60,000, 70,000 listings you could have at no listing fees. So I thought, wow, that's pretty good. I could really bulk up, and um, I don't mind listing anything if it's not going to cost me. If it has to sit out there, so what? If it doesn't have any expense. Anyway, so I started listing things that way. And then, just kind of growing it from there. Then I was like, okay, well, the Favre stuff sells okay. Maybe I'll get some Brady stuff. Maybe I'll get some Kobe stuff. Had some other stuff laying around, that I bought from, years ago when I was a kid, that kind of thing, and grew it from there. So really, my end goal is a couple of things. One, I would like to eventually be able to just work for myself. Love my job, love where I work. My hours are pretty favorable. I have flexibility. So it's going to take a lot to bounce me from that. I make pretty good money, stuff like that. But to be able to really focus on something that I can build, and bring it to the next level, that's really what I want to do. So that's really my end game goal. What I want to do is to be able to make like $300 a day consistently. So obviously you're going to have some days that are bigger, going to have some uh, days that are smaller, especially with eBay right now screwing around with the servers and things like that. I have some days where I don't sell very many, and then all of a sudden in an hour I sell 40 cards, um, things like that. So, but anyway, so I would like to consistently hit that $300 a day. I think that would make it comfortable for me. I do have some income from YouTube and some other sources. I have another business besides that I make some money on. So, um, but I really want to hit that target with eBay before I decide to make any kind of jump ship movement. Currently, I'm at like 150 to 175 a day. If you watch my sales day videos, you can kind of do the math and see where that number comes from on a good average day, not one of these eBay playing with the computers days. Um, So anyway, that's kind of my end game goal. A couple of reasons I want to do that. One, I really want some more time to work on YouTube. I really do enjoy it. I'd like to get better at editing. I'd like to make some better quality videos. There's some things I want to do that I don't have the equipment for, I don't have the time for, and that would allow me to do that. And like I said, I have good flexibility at work, but I'd like to add even a bit more. I do have a young daughter that I like to do stuff with. My wife works from home, so she can kind of bounce out and do things here and there. And I would just like to have some more of that experience as well. So that's my end game goal. We're going to ask Charlie the same question. I would think maybe his statement is a little different, although he's getting into this pretty heavy now. He's picked up quite a bit, learned a lot, listing a lot, and making some moves. So, maybe that's something that he wants to pursue as well. But that's kind of my end game goal. So, if you guys are in the selling game, I'd love to hear what your goals are, what you think you can accomplish, and have some conversation about that. I'm going to go to this comment from JM. Curious what you think of variation listings. I know individual listings seem to be like more hooks in the water, but variation listings get more views. I don't use variation listings at all. I understand the point behind them, and I understand that they work, and I've bought cards from variation listings before myself. I just like to list each card, manage each listing. That I have so many listings that it hasn't really put pressure on me to look at variations. Probably should, especially on the vintage, because you might have like 10 of the same card and you want a photo, essentially a listing for each one uh, individually, because they can be so different condition wise, centering, things like that. Vintage cards have, potentially more issues. But yeah, I don't use them. I don't really like, because like I could do a Tom Brady listing and then just have like 4,000 different Tom Brady cards in a list. Um, and I've never done that. I don't know. And maybe that's something I would look at down the road. But to your question, and I was going to say this, and then you sort of pointed it out yourself. The fact that you can't do offers on them, and yes, that is actually one of my big reasons, because I entertain a lot of offers. I send a lot of offers. Um, I don't want to manage the variation listings, I guess either. If I list, let's say I have five. Okay, we'll take an example here. Let's say I've got this vintage card here, right, of Jim Plunkett. Say I've got five of these and I list all five individually. When I go to pull that order, this sale for this card comes up. Got a nice big photo of it. I can see exactly which card of the five I need to ship. And it takes that out of my listing inventory. So now I have four listings of this card. And those are the four that are left available. And I can make my next listings and keep going. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with those. Maybe that's something new I can try, see if I like it or not. But I don't have that many problems with sales, just listing cards individually. So I haven't seen the real motivation to do that. I do list quantity of cards on anything that isn't vintage though. So for example, this prime card, right? Let's say I've got five of these Brady primes. My listing will have a quantity of five. I do have a lot of buyers that will buy. And as a matter of fact, here's a sale I just made like 20 minutes ago, or 20 minutes before the show, I should say. And since I had a little bit of time, I was pulling some orders. But I just sold these two 1990 Topps Montana cards. So I had listed those together. The person made an offer on both cards, um, which allows me to save some money with the shipping and that kind of thing. So I do that with anything that's like really not vintage, where the cards should be all fairly similar, unless I've got one that's really weird, like if this card was miscut right here, had a big print line, or I don't know, dinged corners, whatever. Then I would list that one separately at obviously a lower price. But I don't I haven't seen the need to do the variation listings. I think it's kind of a cheap way to do it. So for example, here's one of the things I don't like about it. So if I go to search for, well, we'll just use this one as an example again, this Topps Prime Brady card. So this is a 2000, I don't have my glasses in, 2010 Topps Prime. So let's say I type in my search 2010 Topps Prime Brady, and somebody has a variation listing where basically they just have like a whole set of these up and you can choose which player. Well, then this thing comes up, and it might not even be the photo of Brady. It might be a photo of a different card from the set. Then I got to go into the variation drop down. I got to go down and find which card I'm looking for. You know, if the Brady isn't, like, this Brady card is number 130 in the set. So let's say there's 200 cards in the set, for example. Well, now I got to thumb down to find the Brady card that I want. And it always gives you a range in price if they're not all the same card. So it might say like 99 cents to $12. Well, I don't know how much the Brady card is. So now I got to go in through that variation listing, get all the way down the menu to where the Brady card is. And let's say they put $9 on it, which I'm not going to pay $9 for that card. It just feels like it's cumbersome. It's not, versus I look this up, somebody's selling one for $2, I hit buy it now, or I make them an offer or whatever, and I move on. That's how I would like to buy. So I try to sell the way I like to shop, um, because I figure that's the experience that I want others to have. And there's nothing wrong with variations if that's what you're doing and they work for you. That's great. It just doesn't feel like that's the right thing for me. So JM responds, "Oh yeah, I mean, what you're doing is working, correct, for sure. I just wanted to hear your thoughts and appreciate it." Yeah, great question. There are multiple ways to sell on the eBay platform. I actually just had sidebar, but I actually just had Whatnot bug me today and ask me when I want me to do my next show. So I have to think about that if I want to do another Whatnot or not. Whatnot or not. Um, but anyway, I don't think there's a wrong way. There's people who say, "Well, I never do auctions," and I love the auctions. For me, it's an opportunity to shed bulk base cards. Even if I sell a couple of them at either a slight loss or break even point, it allows me to move some of that inventory. As a matter of fact, tomorrow my first chunk of FARB auctions are ending. So I do, the 500 auctions that they give me a month. Let me just check on Charlie here real quick. I'm just gonna hit a like on his messenger. And why does this have height? Oh, it's the comment. Sorry. Anyway, um, so yeah, so I have a bunch of those ending. I listed, 500 FARB cards. I have probably 40 or 60 to 60 somewhere in there that have bids on them already. They've got a day to go, so I'll probably get another 30 or 40 bid on. When whatever ends that doesn't sell, they'll relist automatically. So I think they're a great way. It gets some eyes on your stuff. Hopefully, if people bid on a few of those and they win a couple, and maybe they'll buy something in the store. I have a ton of sales on low end FARB cards when I list auctions. So I think it's a lot of people who don't want to deal with the auction, but they're like, this dude's got a ton of FARB stuff. I'll just go see if he's got a couple of the low end cards I need and buy them outright. So make a lot of extra sales doing that too. So that's sort of my cross posting or bulk listing, if you want to call it that. What do you start cards out at or whatnot? $1, I'm guessing. Yes, it would be $1 unless I had something, spectacular. Let's say I was going to do this, refractor second year Erling Haaland card, which I would ask probably $20 for on eBay. Maybe I would start it out at like 5 or something on Whatnot. Problem is I don't have any audience on Whatnot. I have to hope that people find the show. I can advertise the show. I can do a couple different things that way, but I don't have like a big social media following or anything like that. That's a huge advantage for those selling on Whatnot. If you already have an audience in other areas and you can get like 50 or 60 people to your show, you should be able to sell things at pretty good prices and move them quickly. The advantage to Whatnot is it's super fast. They take care of everything. You simply print your labels when you're done. They collect the payment. It's all instant payment only when somebody wins. And they do have a store option. That was something that the Whatnot person pointed out to me today when they asked me to do another show was, hey, even if you don't want to do a live show, we have, fixed price listings. You can build out a store on here now. And then I'm like, well, do I want to build out a second store? It's a lot of work. I did probably 350 to 400 listings in the last couple days, and it's a lot of work. The last thing I want to do tonight is make a listing. So I'd rather focus on really building out my eBay store. It's successful. I know exactly how it operates. I know all the costs. There's some pain in the butt parts to it versus the Whatnot. With the I don't know how long it's going to sit there kind of thing. But you can maximize your money. You're asking a specific price. If you list something at $1 that you would have asked for $10 for on eBay and it doesn't sell for $10, I mean, it's sold. You got to ship it. They already paid. So I don't know. Yeah, but yes, generally to answer your actual question, yes, I would be listing at 99% of the items at sorry, I would be listing 99% of the items at $1. Let's see. Hey, Penny's joined us. Hey, Penny, welcome to the show. Hey, first time catching you live. Just wanted to say thank you. Ran across your channel like 4 months back, and it's completely changed my eBay. Long story short, I have 4,000 listings, and I now sell like continuing on 150 cards a week, all low end stuff. That's what I'm talking about, and that's why I'm here. That's why I made the channel. I jumped in and just to give a small feedback or look back, let's put it that way, to Penny, especially if she hasn't seen all my videos. I started the channel because there were tons of channels popping up during the peak prices and everybody just saying, hey, you got a base Brady card, just grade it and sell it for $1,000. And it was like, that's not real. And it wasn't sustainable. And I wanted to make sure that there were some other selling models put out there and that other people could participate um, and find a way to make a store and be successful and get some sales without having to depend on the boom market continuing forever, which of course was not going to happen. But yeah, Penny, I'm going to reshare this because Charlie needs to read this. This is me boasting here. First time catching you live. Just wanted to say thank you. Ran across the channel like 4 months back, and it's completely changed my eBay. Long story short, I had 4,000 listings, and I now sell like 150 cards a week, all low end stuff. So, and the real reason I wanted you to read that and see that is because it's basically where Charlie's at, right? So you're at, what, 600-700 listings. By the way, hi Charlie, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Coming in hot. I got my bang.
Nice.
I did not get the.
I got the rise.
Nice. I did not get the Vincent Van Gogh erase ear. My wife shamed me into not getting that.
What?
I had it in my hand. I was ready to go to the register, and she's like, "Really?"
You can't listen to her. Come on now. What does she know? Don't tell her I said that.
But my son did bring me a new member of the hobby family today. I have Bender, the baseball ducky, to join Stuart, the screaming goat.
Nice. Our mascots. Now you just need a Jeep to put the duck in.
Yeah, right.
I got a little stack of those things. So.
But seriously, getting back to what you were talking about there. So live update as of right now, I'm at 574 active listings, almost 150 sold. So yeah, I've had about 700 listings total so far.
Awesome. Yeah, you got to keep going. I just want to shout out real quick to Penny. Good job on all your success. Keep it going. If you have any questions or there's anything you want to share, definitely jump in, send me a PM, send message Charlie, whatever. And we want to keep everybody growing and moving forward, low end sports car is a great way to run a business as long as you like to work about 650 hours a week.
Yeah, yeah, I'm learning that lesson.
It slows down a bit. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So when you have 500 listings, you have to make more listings. You're not going to get that many sales. It's just not that much exposure. I actually just passed 28,400 listings today, with a couple hundred more cards that I listed. I can take a few days and not list jack squat, and I'll get a fair number of sales. I also have my end listings and sell similar, because again, I have enough listings where I have older stuff where I could relist them, use that as kind of my listing slot for the day and not have to do listings. So you can kind of buy yourself out of some of that, but those first few months, year and a half, it's just grind.
It is a grind. Like,
So the one thing I'll tell you that I hadn't thought too much of until recently. I was gone all weekend and I had a ton of sales when I got back. I was packing cards until like 1 a.m. If you saw my sales day video, I talked about that a little bit. But what happens now is when I don't list and I get a bunch of sales, now my total listings goes down a lot faster because that slot now opens back up for another listing. That's not a bad thing by any means, but you want to try to keep that listing number growing. Once I hit that 66,000 or 70,000, I can't even remember what the final number is, but once I hit that number where I run out of freebies, then I have some decisions to make. But I'll be excited to face that moment. I think it's a good thing. So, Charlie, tell us what you mentioned to me this morning that you're considering doing now that you've used basically all your free listings for the month.
yeah. So through the course of the last few weeks, we've talked a lot about how I can boost the speed of my listings, get more out there in a quicker fashion. So we kind of knew this was coming, but so far this month, so what are we now, the 7th?
Yep.
So I have a free account, so it's 250 free listings a month. As of this moment, I have 16 free left. So I've picked up steam in my listings, and I kind of just did the quick math. It's actually I did it wrong this morning. I did it at 25 cents an additional listing after I use those. It's actually 30 cents a listing
Yeah, it's
for this
crazy,
free
isn't it?
account. But even at 25, I'd
Yeah.
be looking at paying another $150 this month at my current rate just to get the rest of my typical cards out there.
Yep.
And versus what is it? A
20
basic
bucks.
seller account is
Yeah.
$22. I think it's
Yep.
$21.95 a month.
Trust me,
So
they know.
yeah,
eBay knows.
yeah. So I anticipate, when we're done here tonight, I'm gonna list those last 16 and I'm gonna start fresh with a seller account tomorrow,
Nice.
so that I can keep going. Because we talked for a while there. I was doing like 10 cards a night after work and dinner and
Mhm.
family time. Now I'm up to about 60 cards a day, and I believe I'll advance past that soon enough. So that
Oh yeah.
250 is, suddenly become nothing, a drop in the
Well,
bucket for listings,
and now
right?
you have some much better methods to list quicker. So now you're getting the listings on there quicker.
Right,
You're buying
right.
more cards. You're accumulating more stuff to list. Yeah, you're gonna run short too quickly. I got a quick question for you, okay?
Yeah.
Because I've had a store since 1998, probably in some fashion. I was selling other stuff at that time. But like when I go to my seller hub, I have like all these analytics stuff and things like that that I can look at. Do you get that if you don't have a store?
I get it.
Okay.
I think one of these weeks we need to talk about that because
Yeah.
I still haven't quite figured out how to best use that
Mhm.
information. I
Sure.
think I have a general idea, but I'm looking for some validation one of these weeks to really go through some of those numbers. The listings, the click through rate, all of those
Yeah.
things, the conversion rates. I get to see all of that as well.
Okay. I was just wondering if that was something they reserve just for people paying the monthly, expenses that are running a business, right? So it's
Yeah,
because it's business analytics.
yeah,
If you're selling a couple of your kids' old sneakers, they're probably, I didn't know if they assumed like, well, they don't really need that information. We're not going to provide it.
Right.
It's a store perk kind of thing. Hold on, I'm just trying to.
The only thing that I think they kind of hold back from a seller account are some of the TerraPeak features.
Correct. Yeah. Um, yeah. TerraPeak was something even as a store owner you used to have to pay for. So yeah, it's kind of interesting where they've gone with that. Trying to get my studio to load here. So let me just recap you, Charlie, since you're just joining us. I assume you weren't watching this live or anything as you were occupied with other activities, but
I was immersed in an auditory and visual event, so no, I was not.
wow, okay, that sounds amazing. Um, well, anyway, I touched a little bit on next week. I'm gonna have a big purchase to share that I got a heck of a deal on. You and I have already talked about it, so that's gonna be my show and tell.
Mm-hmm.
I started the video tonight by doing a bunch of show and tell because I figured you're not here. It's me talking. That's the best time to just do something where I had my own presentation. Then we touched a little bit on the eBay line of credits and the grants.
Yeah.
Basically, all I really mentioned about it was that the grant is available through tomorrow. It's a $10,000 grant.
Friday.
Friday, excuse
Yeah.
me, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I was tomorrow's Thursday. You're right. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Daughter finished school today for the year, so my week is kind of off kilter.
Right.
But anyway, so I think I had mentioned to you something about the lines of credit because eBay keeps pushing these lines of credit at me. They offer me like 150,000 right now.
Okay.
So I don't know if they take like annual revenue or like I don't even know how they base those numbers for what they're looking for. But obviously that's a loan with an interest rate and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Something I'm not interested in. I would rather tie up my own capital and build my own numbers off of that, not have to consider interest as one more expense in the month, blah blah blah.
Agreed.
But anyway, the grant thing was kind of intriguing. So tell me what you found out about that. What's the opportunity there? And if someone wants to apply, how do they apply?
Yeah. So I was able to find this as I was on my Seller Hub page, actually digging in a little bit more. And in the seller, I think it's seller notifications in the lower right-hand corner, there are a number of messages that eBay pushes to you about different selling events. And that's where I saw the notification that last chance to apply for the $10,000 seller grant. So, that piqued my interest as a new seller. I did dive into the terms and conditions a little bit. It does appear to be a true grant, not a modified type of loan. So it will be taxable, of course. But essentially what you do is you go through an application process where I believe, and I have not gone through it yet. It's on my agenda for this week yet. I believe they're going to be asking you questions about, why do you want to grow your store, what your plans are, little bit of a kind of a business model type of discussion. And I think what they're really looking for are good marketing stories for eBay. They want to give that cash to somebody who's going to be a success story within eBay, so that then they can turn around and market that as well and say, hey, look at what we're doing to help everybody, new businesses get on their feet and grow. So I think that's the kind of angle you want to go into it, but it is open to both new sellers and established sellers.
So I did go in and complete the application. And you do have to have an EIN number to enter.
Okay.
So could you use a social security number? I don't know. I use my LLC number. So
yeah,
just a heads up, if that's something that you're looking at doing, you might have to be formed into a little bit more of official business.
Right.
Person. They want to know like what's your link to your website, what is your annual revenue. Like there's a lot of stuff in there that you maybe don't want to share, you don't have the information on. So the way I saw it wasn't really somebody who was starting a new business.
Okay.
It was somebody with a newer business, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you've got a little bit of sales, you've got a little bit going on, you created a website, you've got your tax ID number, active on eBay, you've got a good reputation, feedback wise, things like that. You've got your base. Now you're trying to get to the next level. That's what the grant is for.
Okay. All right.
And then there is a question on there. If we give you this 10G, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny because rewind a little bit here. I was still in banking when the PPP loans were coming out during COVID, which was like it was basically loans to help businesses pay their expenses while business was bad. So like they could still make payroll and things like that, but they didn't do a very good job tracking what the money was used for. And so there was all kinds of stuff going on. They were buying buildings and doing, who knows what. That was not my field in banking, but the information passes quickly, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right.
But anyway, that's kind of what it made me think of. I'm like, oh, what are you going to do with this? Like I think they want to make sure that it's going to go to something where it does actually grow the business. And it's going to have some kind of value. Now, how many of these are they giving out? I don't know.
I believe it's 10.
So, there might be 2 million people applying for this thing,
Possibly, yeah.
And then they also ask you a lot of personal questions like, what's your ethnicity? What is your, where do you live? Like, and I'm thinking, well, are they kind of looking for people who would need more help, versus, I live in a good area and I'm, anyway.
Yeah.
So just kind of heads up, if you go to, I don't want to discourage anyone from applying. I think it's a great thing. Anything you can get to help your business grow and you're comfortable doing it, do it. But it's kind of wanted to throw that heads up out there. And it's through Alice, right?
Yeah. It redirects
Alice.
you to Alice.
Yeah. So it is on eBay. The link is on eBay. It's in your seller hub under the, what's the
seller notifications, I believe.
No.
Let me see. I can pull it up.
Seller info, maybe.
It's bottom right hand corner.
Yes, correct.
Let's see.
I'm trying to.
There it is. Selling announcements.
Selling announcements. That's it.
Yes.
Let me see if I can turn my camera around. Do I have the ability to do that? No. No. I don't want to remove myself from the stream either. But anyway, yeah, there's a selling announcements tab towards the bottom. It's right next to selling tools and promotional offers. And if you read, there's a bunch of highlighted article or hot link articles in there, and you just click on the one for the $10,000 grant and apply for that. So I would love to see a bunch of people apply. I would really love to see any one of you actually get awarded the grant. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Now, I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed as you dug into it a little more that it seems to be more for established base sellers with an EIN number and not necessarily someone looking to build to that.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because that stuff's always get advertised as, well, everyone's welcome to apply. Well, kind of not. I don't know. I kind of don't like that part of it. I can remember when I was applying for like grants for college and stuff like that, and it was, I remember I was applying for an athletic one because the college I went to, I was a college athlete, but they didn't have scholarships for my sport.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll apply for these grants, and then it was like, well, we don't really give them to soccer players, and I'm like, what the hell, So anyway, it sort of reminded me of that experience. I'm like, it's a grant. You give it to whoever needs help, So anyway, it's kind of like applying for a loan more than anything, as I was filling it out and stuff. So I just wanted to throw that heads up out there before we got people too excited. That kind of want them to know, what it looks like and what they'd be getting into. But even Whatnot, like, and actually, JM's got a question about Whatnot too. So we'll get to that in a second. But when I applied to be a seller on Whatnot, they want to know, like, what's your YouTube channel address and how many feedback do you have on eBay. Like, they're looking for not somebody necessarily starting out. They're trying to get somebody who has some following that can now move to Whatnot and use that following to take advantage of selling on that platform. So I was like, well, Whatnot's not really for everybody either. You kind of have to be established. So eBay is really kind of the only ground floor, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
To really get started. And then other than maybe making your own website, but how do you get traffic, right?
Right.
You're
Right.
going to end up paying a lot per click or through advertising, Google AdWords or whatever. It's going to
Yeah.
cost you a lot to get anybody to you. Whereas you don't pay eBay any of that. You just pay them a piece of your sale,
Yeah. But I will say, I think that's a fair statement. eBay is probably the only entry level selling location out there, but they've done a darn good job of ease of entry into it.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Agreed.
user friendly. We talk every week about some ins and outs here and there, but if you just want to set up today and start selling something, anybody can do it.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why most of my videos are about selling on eBay because I feel like it's the platform that most people can take part in, you
Right.
know. Oh, I have a million cards to sell. Well, your door's open a little bit more. You can go to a lot of different places. You can
Yeah.
just ship your stuff to ComC and let them deal with it. You could do, oh, I only have, $200,000 plus cards. Okay, well, you ship them out to Golden and they'll take care of it for like that's not real though. That's not like most of us have a shoebox, of this stuff laying around, right? Tom
Yeah.
Brady base cards. What do I do with these? Well, there's value in those. There's somebody who wants those. There's somebody who
Yeah.
will buy it and grade it, whatever. There's a place for that. And a lot of people don't have access to card shows, and that's sort of a side topic we need to talk about. Don't let me forget. But a lot of people don't have access to card shows, and so what do you do with these cards? Like you
Yeah.
got to have some sort of online platform to do something with, and not everybody wants to make it a business or um, do a whatnot show twice a week and, have a YouTube channel with 300,000 subscribers. That's not everybody's goal. Some people, it is literally just a
Yep.
hobby that they're trying to pull a little bit of money back out of, either to just recover some or to have some money to do something else in the hobby with.
Yeah. You're
So,
absolutely right. And we've talked about this before, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face. There is a buyer for everything, though.
yeah.
It's just finding the right one. I mean, case in point, today, 2 cards I sent out this afternoon. One made perfect sense because it was a hot commodity. It was an Ellie De La Cruz
Yeah.
first Bowman paper. Sent that out the door today. It took less than 24 hours to sell that once I put it out there.
Yep.
Hot prospect, lots of hype, right? Makes
Yep.
sense. But then after that, a 2021 Ricky Rudd NASCAR card went out
Nice.
that I thought was going to take a long time for me to sell. I mean, I haven't heard the name Ricky Rudd in a while. I don't even know if he's still racing.
Yep.
But there's somebody out there that said, I need a Ricky Rudd card.
Yeah. I mean, some days I'm really shocked at the stuff that I buy. I mean, and I pointed this out quite a bit in videos. Sorry, I'm just trying to get back to my feed here.
Mhm.
Um, I I've sold cards that I've gotten for free. So like cards
Yeah.
people use to pack another card in, I've
Mhm.
sold those. That's crazy. That should be the card you absolutely can't sell.
Right.
Condition can be a problem. A lot of times when I get them packed, it's they're junk cards, not necessarily bad players or anything, but just like all beat to hell or whatever.
Yeah.
But if somebody sends me, if I buy a bunch of Barry Bonds cards and somebody packs, a Ricky Henderson card around it, I'm selling the crap out of that. Ricky Henderson is one of my bigger sellers,
I get a lot of
but a
junk
lot of
wax
people don't
cards with
realize
my
that.
packaging. Yeah.
Yeah. So, JM asked a question. I imagine for Whatnot, with the short window of selling, you have to pick Hall of Famer or current stars. Yeah, I wouldn't say it has to be Hall of Famer current stars. I would say it has to be a player with hobby,
Yeah.
which I've talked about a lot of times before. Doesn't matter necessarily how popular the player is or how good their stats are or whatever. If there aren't collectors and investors buying their cards, that's not the platform you're going to be able to get a sale on because you don't have a very big audience. If you have, like I said, if you're getting regularly 50 to 60 viewers to your show, you could get some, bidding hype and things where you could get the prices to drive up a little bit. If you have 3 people attending your live show and you're trying to sell, let's see, what is this? A Scotty Barnes metallized card Do those 3 people want that card? Like, that's would be very strange if all 3
Yeah.
of them did and decided to bid it up. The other thing, so here's my biggest problem right now with Whatnot, and I actually asked, I don't know if you heard this part, Charlie, but Whatnot messaged me today and asked me when I wanted to do my next show and if I needed any help.
No.
So they have great customer service, by the way. But here's, and this is what I replied back with. I said, one of my biggest problems with this platform is I sell low end cards, and you guys do a minimum shipping of like 3-ounce package or whatever. So it's like $4. I'm like, who the heck's gonna buy my $1 card and then charge them $4 shipping? Now they do combine them. So let's say you have somebody buy 3 or 4 cards. Well, they're still gonna be under that. They should be under that 3 ounces for shipping. Um, but you're still basically saying that I can't get that sale unless there's more than one card that they want, or I got to do in sell in lots and things like that. And I don't really. That's not really my. It's not really what I do. I guess if I had like a whole bunch of kind of like how I use the eBay auctions to just sort of get rid of some bulk inventory, maybe that's the
Mm-hmm.
way I would use Whatnot then. But if it works with eBay, then why do it on Whatnot? And when I
Yeah.
list them on eBay, it gets more traffic to my store. Where if I list the stuff on Whatnot, it doesn't do that for me. Um, Now, one of the things the customer service rep pointed out to me was that, hey, you don't have to have a live show. You can list, fixed price stuff or basically build a store on Whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I want to now take all my stuff and put it on another store? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not
How
like
does
I have
that work
20
managing
items for
2 different
sale.
stores?
Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing. And again, how do I get traffic to it? If I'm not doing any live shows, who the heck's going to look at my store?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a live auction site. That's where the traffic comes from. So yeah, so that's my biggest struggle there. And I get it. I don't expect to go onto a platform and be like a top seller day one. Like, you have to spend your time on it and build it and do all that. I think it's great for breakers. Like, there's certain places, certain situations where Whatnot is an amazing thing. I
Mm-hmm.
have a friend who has a YouTube channel, pretty big following, like 80,000 subscribers or something, and he flips like Goodwill stuff and that kind of thing. And he loves Whatnot because he'll buy like stuff with these terrible margins because he knows, well, I can sell this like 20 minutes from now. I'll go home with this big bin of stuff that I'm only going to make $50 on, but I can do it all instantly.
Right.
They make all the labels and everything for me. I literally just have to pack them up and slap the label on and put them back out the door. It's nothing I have to sit on. And I'm like, well, that's great when you have when you get an audience of 60 to 70 people in your show right away. Um, so I can see, like, if you really spent time building it, where it would be extremely lucrative
Mm-hmm.
if you have a following. But you know what? Everything is lucrative if you have a following. You'll
It's
make more
true.
money on eBay. You'll make more money on YouTube. You'll make more money on TikTok.
Right.
You can drive more traffic to your websites. There's obviously fame and popularity and whatnot. Whatnot. I say that phrase all the time, and I hate that that's the name of the business because it trips me out a little bit. But yeah, so that I don't know what I haven't figured out what I can do with Whatnot yet. If they come up with like a standard envelope shipping option, game over. I'd be in there
Yeah.
at least twice a week, peddling my wares and getting my $1 cards out there for 60 cents shipping.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Because why not? Why not Whatnot?
Yeah.
So I could go on there with these 20 Brady cards, and let's say I only sell 10 of them. That's still 10 cards I instantly sold.
Yeah.
If I sell none of them, doesn't cost me anything, other than the time that I had to spend on there trying to do the live show.
Yeah. I have really no model that makes sense to go over to Whatnot yet. And when I've checked out Whatnot to try and see what maybe it could do for me and is it right for me, really
Yeah.
the only format that I've seen that really intrigued me was the I think they call them sudden death auctions, where it's
Yeah.
they'll go through a box of cards and you got 10 seconds to bid on each card that comes up, and Whatnot keeps track of it all for you. But there again, you've got sellers because they're buying 10-cent cards sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, they're going to buy more than one. So then that that $5 shipping charge is not a big deal.
Right.
But that's really the only thing I've seen where I'm like, okay, I could see doing that at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Whatnot has something good there.
Mhm.
There's a reason that it's gotten as popular as it has. They're going to have a giant presence at the National the end of next month. So I plan to spend a little bit of time over there, just kind of talking to them and figuring out what I can do with my show. And um, I want to talk to them a little bit about a standard envelope shipping, program to be able to sell flat, low priced items, postcards. There's a channel I watch on YouTube of a guy who just buys like 1 million postcards at a time and
Yeah.
resells them on eBay. And they go for pretty good money and stuff, but like he doesn't want to pay $5 to ship a postcard. I mean, the stamp on the thing is like 10 cents,
Yeah.
like I don't
Yeah.
know. I just don't feel like their platform has really fit for what we do yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not going to give up on it. I will do another live show and see how it goes. My first one, I sold a few cards. They all went for $1 a piece. So I had to print out $4 shipping labels for these $1 cards that
Yeah.
these people bought. I'm very grateful that, I got a few sales at least, but to sit on there for an hour. The other thing is you got to like be a salesperson, dude, to do this. I don't,
Yeah.
I've been in sales my entire life. I don't know that I want to sit at home at night and be like, look at how shiny this Brady card is. And you could have this for $1. I mean, these corners are great on this. And
Can we
this would
talk
be
about
great for your
shaking?
grandson's birthday. Right. I don't really want to do that. People know what we have for sale. I just want to take a nice photo, put it on eBay. If they like the card that I'm selling at the price I'm selling it at with very reasonable, shipping options and things like that,
Yeah.
that's more where I want to live. Jam says here, one of the things I like about your channel is that you and Bo is 1 million Cubs cards, for example, are actually making this model work. Yeah, it's kind of a funny story about Bo. I actually met him at a Green Bay show. He was up there with a bunch of quarter boxes up here, I should say. This is my land of the living. And before the show, I went around with my phone and did like a live. Hey, it was actually the very first Green Bay KI show. And I kind of did a live thing, and I sort of came around his booth, and when I was done filming, he's like, "Hey, you got YouTube?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "I got YouTube too." And he's like, "I'm only at like 800 subscribers." I said, "Yeah, I'm only at like 600 subscribers." We've all come a pretty decent way since then, last few months, but it was interesting because then I kind of met him at some of the value boxes at other tables, and we were sort of looking for the same stuff, and it was just interesting to actually meet somebody who was more like doing what I was doing. Um, I'm gonna give a shout out to one other channel you guys should check out, and it's Josh Unboxed. So he does a better job at creating content than me. Like his videos are better quality and stuff, but he very slow plays his low end selling. He said it's just something I do in my spare time. I got a couple of kids that I spend my time with, and I just want a few extra bucks to take them to movies
Sure.
and do things like that. So I really like his angle too, where he's like, I don't have to put 500 listings on there a day. If I sell 5 cards each day and I can make $100, a week or a month, whatever his goals are,
Yeah.
great. That's more than what I had before. It's something I enjoy doing, and it's a few bucks to do, some other things that I want to do. So, yeah, there aren't a lot of us out there that really go with the model. It does take time and effort and um, some discipline. I get up at 4 a.m. every day because I don't want to give up any of my family time to do any of this, and that's when I film my videos and pack my orders, and that's why I don't make a lot of real dynamic YouTube videos. I just don't want to invest all my time into making YouTube. I try to make a few informative videos here and there when I feel like there's something that I could share that would have value, and then just, hey, these are the cool things I sold this week. Um, for a few times I've thought about, well, geez, I don't think anybody's going to want to watch these videos. I'm not going to make them. And then I constantly get feedback about, dude, your sales videos are awesome. I just love to see the weird stuff that you sell. And
A
um,
pig.
the weird players that sell and the non-sport stuff and that kind of thing. So anyway, I really appreciate that feedback, Jam, and I'm hoping that we're on YouTube, so you see us, but I'm hoping that there are many more low-end sellers that are having success as well, because I think it's still one of the best ways to really build yourself a little card business.
Yeah. Hey, a side note you made me think of when you were talking about postage before, and this is way off topic, but I wanted to bring it up tonight. I saw the mailman coming up today, and so I went outside to meet him and make a handoff and gave him a couple cards going out. And he grabbed the envelopes and he's like, "These seem familiar. What do you got here? Sports cards going out?" And it turned into a 15-minute discussion on the
Nice.
lawn with the postman. He sells some Pokemon cards.
Nice.
I think EV Explorers probably is familiar with that, judging by the name.
Sure.
But so what that made me think of today is, since I've gotten into the hobby, some people talk about the hobby being not mainstream, not real well known, but I've had so many people come to me since I've been into the hobby a little more and started selling and started talking about it. I have distant relatives. I have an old high school football rival that has been talking to me lately about it from California, and
Sure.
just so many people coming out, and it's really been fun to talk with people that I normally haven't talked to in years. But the hobby is bringing us all together, right? And not just
Yep.
the hobby, but buying and selling as well. And it just struck me today that it is such a topic to bring people together, even though we all have a lot of differences of opinion on some things.
Sure.
Um, it's so easy if you really look to find some people to talk about
So one of my favorite things about this hobby is, first of all, you can just keep it a hobby, which there's obviously nothing wrong with that. You can make it a really good viable business, and you can focus on 10-cent cards
it. Yep.
or $6.2 million cards.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other hobby that really has that kind of a spread. If you're into Harleys, you could maybe squeeze through with like what, a $15,000 Harley,
Yeah.
and you could get up to a $50,000 Harley, but like there's only so many points of entry there where you got to have something to get there. So these kids, right? The kids at the shows, they start with a
Yeah.
$1 card and they keep trading up and they end up with a $150 card by the end of the show. They don't really do anything. They just, what I call paper clipped.
Yeah.
So they just use their charisma, they use their sales skills. They started with a solid $1 card that had some potential, and they were able to kind of keep flipping into new opportunities. And maybe get a little bit of sympathy from some adults along the way that are like, it's a kid trying to grow in the hobby. I'm willing to
Yeah.
contribute that. I'll take a few buck
Fun to
loss on
see.
this deal. So yeah, it's really interesting. The YouTube environment has changed a lot since I started getting into it. A lot of channels have just completely died because numbers aren't, the sales aren't as hot, that kind of thing. All these top 5 card things and all this stuff has floated away quite a bit. Jam remarks here, there are quite a few YouTubers, although entertaining, are clearly just doing this as a hobby. List and sell minimal numbers with the dollar box gimmick. Uh, it's funny because one of the comments I get a lot from viewers or other YouTubers is, "Man, you nailed down the dollar box name for your channel." Right? So it's kind of like, let's say early internet days, you would have bought like Nike.com, right?
Yeah.
That was a great purchase. Eventually Nike's going to come at you and they're going to be like, "What do I have to give you to get this stupid Nike.com?" Right?
Right.
Um, but again, when I started, nobody cared about dollar boxes. That wasn't the sexy thing to sell. It was, buying a $5 Luca base rookie card, which was overpriced by $200 at that time, and then sending it to PSA. And then you just make these PSA reveal, videos, and, "Oh, I sold this now for 1,200." And so yeah, it was interesting to see, how the YouTube environment's changed quite a bit with the drops in prices. Good for the most part in my mind. So let's see what else. That being said, this kind of segues into this. I talked about my end game a little bit, but what are some of your end game goals, Charlie, with this?
It's a great question because I didn't really think about that when I got started here, 3 months or so ago. The impetus was really just, oh, there's 11 years of cards in the attic. I should probably do something with those. The boys were a little bit in the same boat with their Pokemon cards, so we started doing some things together. But now that I've had some time doing this, I do start thinking about an end game.
Yeah.
And for me, at least initially, I am thinking about. So I'm going to be 50 in a year.
Hmm.
Um, Starting to look towards the end of my career. This Friday will be 26 years with the same organization that I'm working
Jeez.
with. So starting to think about what do I do after this? I'm not really someone like you give me a week's vacation and I might take the first day and lay around and do nothing, but by the second day, I'm like, I got to do something, you know?
Yep.
So this, I think, I'd like to grow this into something that helps sustain me as I start to work less in the corporate world. Um,
Supplemental income, kind of.
yeah, yeah, to go along with my 401k distributions and my
Sure.
retirement distributions like that, and Social Security. Like this is something that you can essentially do forever, right?
Yep. Yep.
Now, could there possibly be a time when I say, "Oh, maybe before retirement, this can take over as my main income"? Maybe, but that's not in my vision right now.
Yeah.
It's so early yet, but I definitely have started thinking about, yeah, when I retire from the corporate office, I can get up 7 a.m. every morning
Yep.
and list and ship.
Yep. It gives you something you can do regardless of, obviously, if you have mental issues, that there's that limits you a lot. But even if you have some physical issues, as you get older,
Yeah.
you can go sit at a table for a day and talk to other sports card collectors and have a good old time.
Hmm.
Make a few sales, pays for a couple of your medications. Or,
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, no, that's how your old years are.
Yeah.
That's um, it's sort of your men's club experience.
Hmm.
Um, when you get to that point where you still have something you can share. And um, one of the things that I think is interesting is some of those early 90s cards that I loved, you couldn't give them away for years and years and years and years, and those are like my biggest sellers.
Yeah.
Because it's all guys our age that are like, dude, I had those crappy 1993 tops barf cards, I want a couple of those.
Yeah.
So I feel like, the longer you stay in the hobby, the more like your not cool stuff can become cool.
Hmm.
And I think to me, that's one of the fun angles of the business, is looking at the stuff, how stuff changes and things like that. And if you're buying low end, who cares, right? So let's say this card's $1 today and tomorrow it's 75 cents. Well, it's not going to change your retirement.
Right.
It allows you to really, like you said, basically stay active in the hobby as long as your body and mind will allow you to do so, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then it's an asset too. So you
Yep.
can always you can always sell out bulk too. I know a lot of people who run their own business and they don't really have a great retirement plan. They're not able to put a lot aside. They don't get 401ks, all that stuff, because they're self-employed. But their rationale is that they're building the business value, and that's what's going to pay for their retirement.
Right.
So you build this asset of this business up to, let's say it gets valued at $2 million. Well, when you retire, you sell it for $2 million, and then that's your retirement. And the next guy
Yeah.
bought into the business, and now he's going to make the income, or she, whatever
Hmm.
person is going to buy it and run that business, and they'll eventually compensate themselves for retirement by selling it to someone else. Assuming they maintain it and keep it successful. So there's a lot of ways to provide for yourself,
Yeah.
but you do have to have some kind of plan. Absolutely. And it's funny you kind of mention it that way, because it's when I don't know if you were here when I talked about my end game, but I'd really like to get up to, and I've told you this before, I really want to do $300 a day.
Right.
So my charts have been wonky the past few weeks because of the the eBay server games and all that good stuff. But I've found a lot more consistently recently, and I'm hitting that like 125 to 150 mark, right? Every day. And that's actually perfect because I'm at 28,000 listings. I get 60 to 70,000 for free, right? At my current store level. So essentially I should be able to double what my sales numbers are every day.
Okay.
Just using some basic math. That would put me at like $300 a day once I max out my listings. So it's take me some time to get there. But if I did that, plus YouTube income, and if I do some whatnot stuff and some card
Yeah.
shows, I have other incomes coming in too. I could potentially just do this full time and that'd be the end of it. Um, so yeah, it's interesting to think about that there might actually be that kind of an opportunity to provide a lifestyle for you, by
Yeah.
running the business. And obviously the other angle to that is, well, if you're not doing your other job, that gives you more time to do this, so you should
Right.
actually be able to increase your income and look at some other stream, revenue streams. And I'd like to spend more time and make better quality YouTube videos, but I don't have it, and I'm not gonna give up my special time with my favorite
Yeah.
people and all that in order to do it. So if I had the actual just job free time, if you will,
Yeah.
maybe that's something that I could improve on and add to as well. So yeah, it's interesting to think that you could take this from or your little tiny hobby days and build it into something where it actually like pays bills,
Yeah. I
real
mean,
bills like mortgages and whatnot.
I'm
And
not
what?
100% sure, but I think Bo just does content and card sales
Correct.
and card shows, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
there's an example of someone who, he had to start at some point, just like the
Yep.
rest of us, and, grew it into something where he could build a sustainable business for his household.
Yeah. Now, him and we speak a lot about how him and I are the same with our models.
Hmm.
We also have a decent difference in our models. Like the way we do videos is obviously different.
Yeah.
Um, but he's trying to do a lot more volume, right? So he's willing to take like I want $5 for this card, for example. I'm not saying that's what I would price it at, but let's say I want $5 for this card. He might sell it at like $1.50 because he'd rather sell like 5 of these and hit his $5. You see what I mean? So he's looking at more higher volume.
Yeah.
But this is all he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to take the time to dig all these cards out and ship them. I'd rather hold out and get my one $5 sale. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you and I have disagreed on that at times too. I mean,
Yeah.
we were discussing earlier today where you said, you thought maybe I went a little light on the
A
cost
little
of a
too
card
cheap.
I sent out.
Yeah.
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 But I think it depends on where you're at with your business too.
Mhm.
We've talked about this before, that I still see myself as a new seller. I'm trying to build up some sales, some feedback. So for me right now, if you're looking at that balance of volume and profit, right? Can't say
Right.
volume and profit. Right now, I think I want a little tip towards the volume to start building those business processes and build that return customer and things like that. And then over time, I think I start to even it out a little bit and maybe hold some of those cards longer for a higher price.
And it's situational too, right? So what did I tell you when you said, "Hey, I found this Ellie De La Cruz"? How did I reply?
Sell it.
Sell it. Yes, sell it. You get what you this is the hottest this guy's ever going to be. He's
Yep.
not going to be a Hall of Famer out the box. As soon as he goes 0 for 4 in his second game, his price is going to drop and everybody's
Yep.
looking for the next prospect. So
Yeah.
you have to play to your max return too. If I'm like, well, everybody kind of forgets about Brady. His stuff's going down. Well, maybe I would take $1.50 for that instead of the $5 max price.
You
Now
kind
he's
of
a goat,
learn.
so the goats you should be able to get whatever you need to get out of it. But
Yeah. So
um,
you kind of learn from going through that routine too. So I'm still sitting on an Anthony Volpe PSA 10 that a sale fell through, and now his prices are cooling off on me, and I'm watching
yeah,
it. Um, with Ellie De La Cruz, I didn't put a high price on there because I wanted to try and get it out the door right away.
Yeah.
So could I have gotten another dollar on that card? Maybe.
Could
Probably
have
would
done
have
a
took me a
1-day
few.
auction too, or a
True.
3-day auction.
Auctions scare me sometimes. Like
Yeah, they
I,
do.
I get burned sometimes on the ones I've done where it's like they should go for a couple dollars and they go for 99 cents, $1.25, and I'm like,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah. And that's part of it. What you're doing, that's more of the bow model, right? You're just trying to flip out as much as you can, as long as there's some profit in it. You sell, and
Yeah.
then hope that you have more inventory to go. You buy giant quantities of stuff, so you're paying a penny a card, that kind of thing. Then you take all your bulk commons that you can't sell, and then you sell those as some sort of bulk deal fire starter thing to somebody,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great model. It's just not the model that him and I differ, quite a bit on that type of model. I'd
Yeah.
rather sit here with stacks and stacks and stacks of Brady cards that I know will always have some sort of place in the market. And I
Yeah.
take plenty of chances on stuff. I'm not saying that. Um, let's see. Did I buy anything weird this week? I'm trying to think. I did. By the way, I did my mail days before you got here. I had some pretty
Did you?
sweet stuff. Hey, check this out. You know what these are?
I Sports Illustrated for kids.
Yep, with the card sheets intact. I got 22
Really?
issues. 22 issues, $2 an issue. There's some pretty sweet posters in here. There's an Albert Pujols poster in here that's badass.
Nice.
There's a couple Super Bowl champion posters. Look at this thing that's all the Lakers on there as superheroes. You got like Dwight Howard as Superman, and
Yeah.
so I was like, man, I get my $2 in value out of each issue just looking at the articles and stuff.
So what are you going to just sell the cards? Are you gonna try and resell the magazines, or what's your plan?
I will be taking the cards out and very carefully, as I've done with hundreds of sheets of those, very carefully tear them apart and get them sold. There's some really good cards in there. There's a bunch that I don't have because I'm really trying to build that inventory out because it's such a great seller for me. There's a Mike Trout rookie in there, 2012.
Okay.
Do
you leave the dibs on, or do you try
Morgan
and even them
rookie.
out?
I'm sorry?
Do you leave the dibs on from the tear out, or do you try and even them out?
No, they're perforated. I just tear them
Yeah.
out and I leave them at that. I would
Yeah, I
never
do
alter
too.
a card. Yeah. Yeah, and I got this other lot I showed earlier. There's Andre Agassi. His first card with his super weird hair.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
And then I told you about this earlier, but the reason I bought this lot, Kelly Slater rookie card.
Yep.
They're still kind of, and I'm playing my hand out in front of me here, so I'm hoping that I don't get too many people jumping on this, but I've just been able to find good value in a lot of those lots. They have weird stuff in them that people don't consider. Like another good one is, do you know who Ava Mataya is?
Sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
So here, I'll show you real quick. And I don't want to go through too much of this because I'm going to bore our audience. I already showed them, a bunch of this stuff. I'm just going to get this one real quick. So this is Ava.
Oh, pool player. Okay, yeah.
Yep. Do you remember on Saturday morning? I think it was Saturday mornings. So we're old people, so we used to watch like TV, and we had like 5 channels and stuff, right, Charlie?
I remember the Black Widow.
Yeah, and do you remember like Saturday mornings in between like WWF and like Pee Wee's Playhouse or whatever? They would show like billiards and stuff and bowling and things like that on ESPN. I remember watching Ava Mataya. So I've had a few of that card. She doesn't have any cards. It's literally her only card.
Yep.
I've had a few copies of that, and I get like $4 a piece for them. And who would think that, right? So anyway, that was. But the magazine mail day was pretty sweet. I was pretty happy with those.
And you talked about taking chances. I think you have to take some chances with lots sometimes.
Yeah.
I have one that showed up today. I didn't even open it yet, but there wasn't a lot of detail in the description. Just a general topic, a few card series names. The card quality didn't look great in the pictures, but I'm like, for the right price, I'll take a
Yeah.
chance on that and see what I can pull out of
Yeah, I think someone's calling me.
that. The IRS,
The
they want to
IRS.
talk about that last card show.
Right. Oh gosh. I don't think that's as big. It's actually from Baraboo, Wisconsin. I don't even. That is actually Madison. Anyway,
Yeah, just north of there.
so the IRS will never call you. Okay, here's a fraud tip. The IRS doesn't call people; they send mailings. If it's a really big deal, they'll send you a mailing that you have to sign saying you got. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna make a little. We're gonna start a little list for next week's show too. How to find good lots to buy.
Yeah, you are
We'll go over that
still
again.
you're blowing
I'm
me
the king
away
of
with
lot
that.
buying.
You
I'm
are like
I
it's been a challenge to me to try and find some
yeah
good lots, and I am really struggling with it. Like I look at them just about every day,
yep.
but I find more small lots where the price points aren't there, or I see things that I don't like about the lot, and I'm like, I'm not getting that one. So I'm struggling to find the ones I want to pull the trigger on.
Yeah, I have some good tips for that, and I can share a few of my methods. I don't want to give away the house, you know. I'm not giving the baked bean secret, but right, the dog doesn't the dog protect the baked bean secret or something? I know the
Roll
dog
that
tries to
beautiful bean footage.
the beautiful bean footage, yeah. Um, but I have some kind of generic stuff that I think everybody could use, and if it have helped some of you, that's great. Because I think lot buying is still the best. Lot buying and lot splitting is still the easiest, best way to make money on cards. You know,
Yeah.
unless you have access to like a bunch of people selling huge collections, and you can make a giant capital investment at one time. You know, spend $1,000 on a collection or whatever and split it up. But I think most of us are buying cards for 40-50 bucks here and there, and then you know trying to make some money off of those and then move
Yeah.
on and buy the next ones. What was the other topic you wanted to do next week? You said we got to spend
Those
some time
seller
listing.
metrics,
Oh,
really,
seller
really
metrics.
trying to find usable, actionable intel in those, and decisions to make off of those. You know,
Okay.
I've heard people talk about making adjustments based on a certain sell rate and click through rate and things like that. And
Yes, sell through rate is a big one. Bo talks about it quite a bit. Now, so what I'll say about this is it's much more important for his model than it is my model to have
okay,
sell through rate, because he's looking at extremely slim margins. He has to move the volume. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So, but yeah, that's something that we can talk. I don't want to go too far into it tonight. You know, I want to keep on what we were intending to talk about tonight.
yeah.
We'll kind of add that for next week's topic. Again, anybody in the chat, anybody watching this video after we post it, you know, send us a DM. You know, put comments on the video, something like that, of topics you would like to have discussed. We are professional, casually professional people, meaning we kind of know what we're talking about. So that's where discussion comes is great then in that light, because we can all hash it out together and try to figure out what's the best for it.
Yeah.
Analytics don't really tell you everything. You know, I sometimes I watch YouTube videos like on like the YouTube algorithms and things like that, and I'm like, dude, every like categories are different. You know, what you get paid per video is different because depends on how your list, you know, what your topics are. Like if they're financial topics, the ads pay more money, and like there's just so many variables to it that I know people have like a ton of subscribers but nobody watches their videos. Well, what
Yeah.
good does that do you? You know, I know people who don't have that many subscribers but people are watching like their hour-long videos. You know, so I don't know. Anyway, a little off the topic there, but yeah, so I think it's good to go over some of that and kind of what they mean and what they look like. I can try to turn my camera around next week and we can take a look at some actual screens and I can show you some of my stuff and
Okay.
what I look at for what I'm trying to do. Brian Jorgensen here says, JM, I totally agree with you. Dollar Box and Bo have changed up my game. I appreciate that. Hopefully for the better. That part was left out. But yeah, again, the reason that I started the channel was I wanted to make sure that people had other avenues that they could look at for selling. Jam says that's what's up, Brian. So he's agreeing with them. And Jam says congrats on your growth, Charlie.
Thank you.
Yes, we're all very proud of you. You're doing well. We'll keep it moving forward. I like this live each week because it really spikes my interest, gets me moving, it gets my juices going. I have topics to talk about. I get feedback from others. I actually get to hear from a lot of my channel watchers, because not a lot of people will post will post comments on videos, but they'll participate in a chat if they're on it.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I think it's great for the audience to have a voice too.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe they don't normally feel like they would have that on a video that's posted where no one can interact with their comments. Jam says, Charlie, basically this is to you, Charlie. I am still month to month on eBay because a couple of years back I got stuck in a year-long contract and some personal issues came up.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Now, eBay gives you a couple different options. You can do month to month, which costs you a little bit more, obviously.
It's $3 more or something like that.
$3. Well, on the premium, it's like $9 more or something.
Is it? Okay.
So it's a lot. I've had an annual eBay subscription forever, and I just leave it at that. I think when I started with premium, it was like $49.99 a month. Now it's 59 or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But things go up over time. Nothing drastic. And I always figure, even if I got a bunch of stuff laying around the house I want to sell, it's still an advantage to me. You pay less fees on the sales side and things like that. So
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't see anything wrong with going month to month if you feel like that's a better. So, as much as we're trying to help everybody grow and make some money and do that, I also don't want to give financial advice.
Right.
Because I don't know anybody's specific situation. I don't know what your other expenses are. Maybe you have just a ton of extra income. You can do whatever you want. So you're like, I buy $1,000 collections because it's no big deal to me. So you have to do what fits for you. Do not risk your house to participate in eBay card sales.
It's not like the old days when you did know my finances because you were my banker.
It's true. Yeah, but I'm so far removed from that now. That's been the other video when I mentioned like how long we've known each other, I was like, wow, that's a long time. It's a lot longer than I thought. We were like young men back then.
Yeah.
It's funny how this stuff kind of circles back around, right?
Yeah.
Actually, the reason we kind of got back together was my wife was giving away some extra guitars or something I had. And then your wife, Jenny, said, well, we'd take them for the boys. And then she came to pick them up and we caught up a little bit and said, let's get together. And then we got together and I was like, dude, cards. And you're like, dude, yeah. And hooked you up with some JJ Watt and some shiny stuff.
You opened the door to your card room, and it was like the lights and the music. And I was like, oh man, I'm back in.
Well, and then I dug out that card for you, and you're like, how the hell did you know where that was right away?
Right.
So I think it just intrigued you, like you could actually do this and manage it, if you kind of know what you're doing. Yeah. Kind of know. Like I don't really know because I still have stacks of stuff, but
that is a challenge with this. So as we talk about my listings now, I'm getting to a point where it's starting to be a little more cumbersome for me to find them. So actually this week I took everything off the shelf and I sorted it all out by sport, and they have their own storage place now, so I can get to things a little bit faster. Like you having almost 30,000 listings, it still amazes me that you can get to them that quickly.
So basically, and maybe that's a topic we address next week too, and I could show some of my storage, because I think we want to start getting into a little bit more meaty stuff. These first few episodes, it was kind of like, well, who's Charlie, who's Adam, and what do we do, what are you guys doing, what are you about? we can start getting into a little bit more of like this is how we actually do things. But storage and inventory management, I'm going to put down. So, maybe I can walk around and show a little bit of kind of how I do that. But honestly, you're going to start very basic, like you did. Okay, this is baseball, this is football. You got 50 cards. Why would you need to break it down more than that? You can flip
Right.
through 50 cards quick enough, find what you need. Well, then you start going maybe by year in each sport, or you go by player in each sport, and then you go by player and year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I literally had a little Brady section for a while, and then it was like, okay, this is modern Brady, this is vintage. Now I have it broken down by each year because you start getting 5,000-10,000 cards of something. You don't want to dig through all that.
Right. Right.
That's where you're going to burn your time the quickest, is if you don't really get any organization to your inventory. But again,
Especially if this is not your full-time gig, right? So I'll wake up in the morning. First thing I do is I check my phone. Oh, I sold a card while I was sleeping. I want to quick try and package that and get it out on my way to
yep,
work.
yep.
Or, something happens at night in between going to an event with my kids like I did tonight. I want to be able to get that card in 30 to 60 seconds, package it
Yep.
up, and get it out the door.
And for the most part, I can do that. There are times where I'm like, crap, where's this card? Or I filed it in the wrong year or something like that.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit more effort to do it. Or it's in my stacks of stuff I listed, but I didn't put it away yet, and I sold it like the next day.
That happened to me
Um,
just the other day.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that, again, not a bad problem, but still, something you have to work with. And that's why I like getting up early. It's quiet. I have my time. I dig through my drawers. I actually don't mind that process. I know some people hate pulling orders. It doesn't bother me. It's a nice humdrum thing in my life where my job is very like mind involved and everything's fast paced and this and that. It's nice to have that. So yeah, you have to kind of figure out the system that works for you.
Yeah.
Um, I love the pull out drawers where they're organized. It's easier for me to get in and out quicker than like people, a lot of people use like 5,000 count boxes and then you're sliding it. You got to take the top off and kind of dig through it, and then you got to slide it back, or come up with a shelf system where you just have one on each
That's
shelf. And
yeah.
I bought a fireproof safe that I keep all my cards in, so the fireproof part is nice too. So
I've got I don't know if I turn my laptop, you can maybe see it, but right now I got a bookcase with, shoe
sure.
boxes in there with not shoe boxes, but the smaller card boxes in there. A couple of
Yeah.
2 rows for the baseball because that's mostly what I have. But yeah, I've already learned I got to start separating that out a little bit so I can get to some of those faster. I've got each sport, I've got a non-sport box, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that shelf system will last you about another month.
You think so? Only
Yeah.
another month?
Well, yeah, because you're getting so much faster at listings now. This is what I use. So this is my little cabinet system here. So this is Farv, all Farv here. I have a lot of Farv. And then I just Farv, because I have so much Farv stuff, I sort them by year. Let me see if I can get this on camera. So like this is 1998 Farvs.
Okay. Yeah.
So this little card catalog works perfect that I got from the police department. I kind of put a little box divider in it from cardboard boxes just to keep the 2 rows separate. And
Okay.
then there's a metal divider in the middle. So this would be like the next year's stuff over here then. So just to kind of give a small preview, but I can go over more of that when
Yeah,
we're
I think
actually going to
next
cover that in a video.
I've got a 6 drawer dresser down here that one drawer is filled with all my card supplies, but that'll probably be the next storage location as I expand from that bookcase.
You have to be careful too because you don't want something to happen to them. So you want to
Right.
try to have something where it's going to be waterproof. You want to have something where I'm not saying everybody can get something fireproof, but you want to try to protect yourself a little bit from that. Um, Speaking of that, about 2 miles down from where we left our dog with a friend of ours for the weekend while we were gone, went to go pick up the dog, and there was like 40 fire trucks flying by down the
Oh,
road, and fire started in somebody's garage and it reached the house and like trashed the whole place. That stuff can happen. So um, something to think about. I have about, I don't know, I have a lot of inventory. It has value. So I'm at a point where I want to make sure I try to protect it as best as possible.
Sure.
The ones laying on my desk, well, they're just victims if something happens at this point, but that is what it is. It'll only be short term, hopefully.
Yeah.
Jam says, I hate paying the extra, but I like knowing I can cancel my subscription if need be. Yeah, I get that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I pay a couple bucks more a month. I'm sure you can make that up pretty easily with a couple of card sales. And then, yeah, you don't have that stress of, well, what happens if, I'm stuck in this now and I'm not going to be selling. We do have a new viewer, EV Explorers. What's up? Hi, EV Explorers. Welcome to the live. I'm not sure what you're into. Hopefully we can get some more conversation from you, but we're glad to have you watching with us.
Eevee is a Pokemon, so pretty
Yeah,
sure
I know who Eevee
that's
is,
the
right.
line.
Yeah, I definitely know who Eevee is. Can't imagine anyone gets traffic on their stores there. People go for the lives. Yeah, he's referring to Whatnot. And I agree. I think that the stores are good to use in conjunction with your live because you can take anything in your store and throw it on a live. So like if all of a sudden you got a bunch of buyers bidding on Brady stuff and you got a bunch of Brady's in your fixed price store or whatever, that's on. Well, now you might be like, well, I'm just going to auction these then. If I got buyers here right now that are going to bid, I can move a lot of this stuff. So I can see how it could work in tandem, but you're right. I don't think you could like just set up a store and Whatnot and get the sales.
Yeah.
I also think their fees are a bit higher than eBay, so that's also not a real big motivator to do it. I'm not sure if they charge you per listing. I'd have to look more into it. I haven't really because it's not something I'd considered. Let's see. Jam says I would love doing something like Whatnot, but not worth it unless you have the audience. Correct. Can you ask them about a rotating heads type of auction where, for example, you and Charlie and perhaps a guest could take turns auctioning a few cards at a time, but using your individual accounts? Ooh. I can ask, sure. Um, yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that would work. I know they do. I think they do that with breaks, where you can do it where you rotate between the sellers that are doing the breaks, but um, yeah, I'm not sure, and I don't know how that would work unless you're selling like the same stuff, you know. I don't know. JM says Josh Unbox is great, but extremely part-time. So this is a channel I was referring to earlier, Josh Unbox. I've talked to him a couple times. And you're right. I've even spoken to him about doing like collaborating on a video or something because he was getting into low end cards. He didn't start that way, but he was moving that route and we just could never hooked up. So
I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen his content.
yeah, and yeah, he sells like a couple cards a week, literally. Which is great. I mean, he's having fun with it. He's making videos showing like, yeah, you don't have to do this thing full time. You can have some fun with it and make a couple bucks, which I think is great. There's a place for that as well. Jam says he barely has time for videos, but he watches every single one. Yeah, when he doesn't make a ton of videos either, like one a week, one every 2 weeks, something like that. But he does put some decent production into his videos. Which, if you're not going to make very many videos, you should make a high quality video.
Yeah.
Because the consistency isn't quite there. You're not going to maintain that audience if you don't have any value. Card Hobbyist has joined us. Hello, Card Hobbyist, or maybe you've been here for a while, just haven't chatted. But either way, welcome to the chat. I've been selling low end for just over a year, thanks to Dollarbox, Bo, Josh Unboxed, and JMax. Yeah, I don't know JMax. So that might be one I'll have to look up. YouTube peer pressure, I guess. Okay. If it's good peer pressure, like if it's adding something positive to your life, then I'm happy to contribute. If it's harming your life, then I think you probably want to turn off YouTube. That would probably be your best and unsubscribe to everybody.
There's some
No,
of all of it out there. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think that these are probably the 4 channels. Like I don't know the JMac channel, but I'll check it out. But there's probably not a ton of us that are, really putting out real content about low end selling. But yeah, those are the channels that, pop up in my mind. GM is replying to him saying, nice. JMac is another one I enjoy who kills the model too. So great. There's another one that watches JMac. So that's something that I'll have to look at. And he clarifies by saying killing at that business model. He means I understood what you meant, but yeah, it's funny. Let's see. Some of those SI for kids cards go for a pretty penny. You're darn tootin' they do. So
is that a new thing though? I feel like I didn't hear about it until a few months ago, and now I hear about it everywhere.
So when the market really exploded in, I don't know, let's say early 2020, smart people didn't want to go spend $200 for a base Prism Zion card that they knew like 40,000 of them were printed of and weren't going to hold. So everybody was looking for, what else can I get? What else can I get? Or what hasn't gone up in value yet? So you look for alternative sports, you look for music cards, things like that. So, the early tennis stuff became popular. Golf, Tiger Woods rookie card is a Sports Illustrated for Kids card. Tony Hawk's rookie card. Slater, Kelly Slater, that I just showed you, that was his only card, at the time, who's the goat of surfing. So there was just a lot of interest looking at other things. They also make some interesting cards. It was Britney Spears' first card was a Sports Illustrated for Kids card. You and I have talked about that card a few times. And yes, I still want one. I will get one eventually. So it kind of, brought some more attention to them, and there aren't a lot printed. It's whatever their magazine run is. So if you look at new rookie, let's say Victor Wembanyama. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I just can't say it.
He's the big guy coming into basketball this year. Well, the very first card that was ever made was in Sports Illustrated for Kids. They go for like $120. It was just a couple months ago. I'm a moron and didn't forgot to run to Barnes and Noble and buy all the issues. But anyway, so they're kind of first to market with some of the stuff. And if you think about like the older cards, a lot of those were trashed, they were burned up, people got rid of the magazines. So even when publications were higher, a lot of those weren't maintained. So now you would think that, okay, well, they're going to be maintained. Anybody who buys the issue is going to take care of the cards. But how many issues are they printing? Because nobody reads magazines anymore. So there's kind of like a rarity in the entire run of SI for Kids cards. And there's just so many cool cards, water skiing squirrel card, right? Yeah. A pig who does jujitsu or whatever it was. There's just really cool stuff that they look at that is, would never be in like a Topps Chrome set or anything, right. But you could print it on a magazine page and put it out there. I think Sports Illustrated for Kids originally did it because trading cards were so huge in the late 80s, early 90s, which is when Sports Illustrated for Kids started. So it just made some sense to do it. And just to add some value, right? Like you were getting a thing inside your magazine, and kids could tear them out and you could trade them like any other, pack of cards and whatnot. But yeah, they were highly overlooked, I guess is the best way to put it. They aren't anymore. Of course, everybody knows what they're all about, but you get some of those more obscure sports and stuff and people just don't realize, what's there. If you don't know who Kelly Slater is, how are you going to know that that's his?
Or Ricky Carmichael, yeah.
Doing the work. Yeah. And I buy large lots. I'm not buying 2-card lots of Wembanyama for $200. I'm buying 150 cards of, maybe somebody bought this lot of Sports Illustrated for Kids cards because they wanted the Tony Hawk rookie out of it, and they're just getting rid of the rest. That happens too. Manage order.
Oh, we're talking mullets now?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Yes,
you got
Andre Agassi did have a pretty spectacular mullet. I would have to agree with that.
You got to see a pretty impressive mullet earlier this week with one of my old pictures.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was laughing. The football picture. Man, I should have downloaded that and thrown it on the screen. When you weren't here today, I should have just had that as your placeholder.
Yeah, that got a lot of
attention
today. It was very popular.
I screwed that up. But yeah, that was pretty funny to see it. That was high school, right? I assume.
That was high school, yeah. The old like maybe my junior year of high school, I think. It was a long time ago, I'll tell you that. But yeah, I was rocking the mullet, had the mean mug going.
Yeah,
Um,
you were out to hurt somebody, man.
I was because that's what you do.
Right.
I was known for being a defensive player too. I played both ways, but defense is where I got my first start.
Sure.
So, if I went up there smiling, I would never hear the end of it.
Right. Right. Yeah, that picture lives on forever, And now there's the internet, so now it's never going away. So Aaron S asks, "What's by the way, welcome Aaron S to the chat. I think you're new here too, so appreciate you joining us. What's y'all's thought of selling player lots 2 to 4 cards? We talked about that a little bit before with Whatnot, where that might be the right spot because if you sell a 4 card lot and they're charging $4 shipping, well, now you're only looking at $1 per card to ship. So you can keep the value in what you're selling a lot easier that way. I don't like eBay. I don't sell lots at all, other than I buy a lot of non-sport stuff, mainly for the inserts, the sticker cards and that. So if it comes with, like a stack of the base cards, most of those I don't list as a single card. I just want to move them.
Yeah.
So I'll do 12 to 14 card lots because I can put 6 cards in each one of these bad boys, and then I put them together and tape them, and then I put them in a big envelope, and they go for 84 cents shipping. So I can get $3 to $4 for the lot, make a little bit of money on them, and get a bunch of cards out at one time. So to me, it's if you're going to do that, you're going to do it because you're trying to move like bulk, right?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what Card Hobbyist says. He says, a good way to move some stale inventory.
Yeah. So I've ironically, my very first two sales on eBay were lots where I had a complete set of like opening day 2012 or something like that. And I lost my tail on those because I underestimated the shipping costs on them.
Yep.
But I have not had great luck with small lots either. I have a couple of 3 card lots I've been selling. One Nolan Arenado 3 card lot, some MLB wacky packages stickers in a 3 card lot. I haven't been able to move them. In fact, I just split apart the wacky packages lot again, and I'm going to try and sell them as singles.
Yeah, I think my target market, especially doing the free shipping, is looking for somebody who wants a specific item to fill out their collection or give to a
Mhm.
friend or whatever, get for their son, whatever the case may be. And the lots just don't really put that together. And it kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do. I buy lots and then I split them. So why would I want to buy a lot and then
Yeah.
make a lot? Um, like I said, the exception is those non-sport, because a lot of times I'll buy like a big lot of Simpsons cards, for example, because I want the sticker inserts, and that's the best way to get the bulk number of those.
Mhm.
And it comes with 50 or 60 of the regular cards.
You don't really want
It's a
those.
way for me to sort of flip out of those and get a little bit of value back on the lot that I bought,
Right.
without having to sit on, like, how are you going to sell Simpsons card number 61 where it's Marge vacuuming the floor? Like, where's the market for that? And I'm not saying there aren't completists or set collectors or anything for those cards. There certainly are. It's just not the same as, like, okay, if I buy a lot of Brady's, I can sell each individual Brady. There's a lot of market for those cards.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you're trying to do, I guess. Um, Aaron says, I'm trying to average out the
Yeah.
cost for cards for my eBay customers, maybe $1 to $3 per card. Exactly.
That's
That's what
right.
we were
Yeah.
trying to express earlier too. Like, yeah, if you needed to add value, that would be a way to by selling multiple cards. I have a similar system as you do at Charlie. I have a similar system as you do, but too complicated to explain on here. But I put them by player name, then decide what to pull them, then list and put them into another system. Okay, so you have like a to be listed system, and then you have like a listed ready to pull system. which makes sense. I think that's pretty much what most of us have. Mine's not a very good system because I literally just have piles of stuff that need to be listed. Then I have I just listed it stuff. So, all right. So here's something that just a little side tip since this came up. I used to, after I listed everything, I would immediately just put it in my final inventory with my other 20,000 cards.
That's where
I
I'm at.
stopped doing that. Now when I list, I put them on my front desk for a couple of days. The reason I do that is because a lot of my sales, my newest sales, are cards I just listed.
People
So I
looking
try to
newly
make that like,
listed.
why put it away and then go have to dig it back out? I'll leave them here and I'll be like, oh yeah, some of those, you know, Brady cards I just listed, a couple of them sold. I'll just dig through and grab those, and then when they've been sitting here for like a week and I'm tired of looking at them and the newness isn't there for the sale, then I file them away with everything else. So that's kind of the system that works for me. So I sort of have actually I have three systems. So I have my hasn't been listed yet, or four in this case, because I've got my mail days. And then I've got my hasn't been listed yet. Then I've got my just listed in the last few days, and then I have my this stuff is listed and has been in the store for more than a week. So that's kind of the system that works for me. Card Hobbyist mentions a few players that are good on the SI side. Tiger, yes, sell a ton of Tiger. Serena, interesting that you bring that up. We'll talk about that next week. Usain Bolt, I have yet to get a hold of one of those. I figured I would find one in a lot somewhere where somebody didn't realize what they had, but it hasn't come that light yet. Phelps, again, not one from SI I've found, but I did find some early Olympics cards of him that sold really well in a quarter box from a quarter box. At the old Wisconsin Dells show, man, that show was awesome. I wish they would have it again. I love
Tommy
that.
Bartlett show?
No, it was
Oh, you're talking about a card show?
Yeah, it was a card show.
Okay.
Card show. It was at the where the Kalahari is? And then
Yeah.
there's like that bumper cars place next door. Well, it was in the Kalahari in one of their big spaces right in between the two bars in the main hallway there. And it was just awesome. They had a nice bar inside. They had tons of like nice leather seating, high top tables to sit at and do card stuff with. And
Yeah.
the lighting was good, and there was tons of vendors. But apparently, they only ever did one show, and apparently there was some conflict between the person running the show and the venue, and they couldn't come to terms with price or dates or whatever the case may be. So they just never did another one. But man, that show was great. And so many to mention. He's absolutely right. SI for kids is a great card long-term product for hold, in my opinion, an investment. Really, I don't know what really means.
He was talking about the two card saver cards
Yeah,
together.
can you show me the envelopes? Okay, so and I am going to actually repost this video. I'm starting to repost some videos to my YouTube that are older that I feel like are good information. But I did do a pretty good video. I thought I got a lot of good feedback on it about shipping standard envelope when it first came out. So this is what I do. I've got two card savers here, the big ones, right? Like the card submission size ones. And then let's say I've got 6 cards. Let me see if I've got some. I'll use these. So let's say I lot these off into 12 cards, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we'll go with 11. So I would take, 5 and 6, split them up. I would use an oversized sleeve, right? So you can fit multiple cards in there easily.
Like a
I've got my 6
point
cards
sleeve
in here. I will put that into one card saver. I will take the other cards and put them into a card saver. Obviously another thick sleeve. Don't sleep on the thick sleeves. They come in very handy when you're shipping multiple cards. There's no reason on like a bulk lot like base Simpson cards that I need to sleeve every card. You're not getting enough value out of those to spend on the shipping supplies. So then I put them together like this, right? So I've got an opening right here, and I've got an opening right here, and I put the two openings against each other. so that there's literally a seal. There's no openings on any of these cards. I tape them shut with my masking tape, of course.
Painter's
And
tape or
then
masking tape?
I use masking tape. I don't like painter's tape. I think painter's tape is just overpriced masking tape. It does the same thing.
It's specially formulated to come off.
Yeah, for paint. So it doesn't take the paint off your walls. It's not the same game we're playing here. So anyway, so I take these and then I have a business size envelope, and you can see here they fit in there perfectly, right? So you pretend they're taped together. But this will be just under 2 ounces. You can't get away with shipping 12 cards for 60 cents, but for 84 cents, I can ship these cards. They're not too thick. Obviously, depends on the card. If you have thicker cards, you wouldn't be able to ship as many. Blah blah blah. You know, because thickness matters in the envelope. But
that's a number 10 envelope, right?
It's a number 10 envelope.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because number 6 is these. This is what I use to mail all single, double, triple cards. You know, anything that's under a quarter inch. Number 6. I've been to Walmart twice in the past 2 weeks, and I haven't found any envelopes at any of them. So
I never find them because you always
quit
beat me
buying all
there.
my envelopes.
Yeah.
I have about 30 boxes right now, so I'm okay for a bit. But when you start getting into it and you sell a lot of cards, you go through a ton of envelopes. I can go through a box of those envelopes in a day or two. So they go quick. Now I gotta unpack all these, but that's how I do it. That's how I do 12, maybe 14 card lot if they're real thin cards. One of the great parts about Sports Illustrated for Kids cards is they're like paper, so you can ship like 20 of those things together in a using my method here in an envelope and be under the 2 ounces. All right, Jam says he uses a team bag for every 30 to 40 cards I list. Team bag gets a skew. I've heard of people bagging their inventory. I could see that being some value. If you start getting a ton of inventory, it's actually really annoying because then you have to keep pulling out a bag, opening it, pull the card out. I find it easier to sort of flip through or grab a stack of where it would be and just kind of take my one card and put the rest back. But yeah, there's no right or wrong way. I think it's a great tip. If you have a smaller amount of inventory, I could see that being a great way to manage it for sure.
Adam,
do
you
each card individually skew in order in team bag? Okay, so I think what he's referring to is you can use a custom skew on all of your listings. I don't know if you know this, Charlie.
Yeah.
So you can say like, okay, let's say you're doing it by boxes on shelves, right? And so this is box A1, and this is box A2, and this is box A3. So instead of like, this box has Brady's from 2009, this has Brady's from 2010. Instead of doing it that way, you would just do the custom skew. And then anytime you would add a card to box A1, you would add that skew in your listing. So when it sells, you don't have to know where it is. The listing itself will tell you A1 in your custom skew, and you go to that box and pull it. I think that works really well for resellers of like tons of different random things, like Goodwill flippers and that kind of thing, because they might have like a little tchotchke of this and a pair of shoes here and some football shoulder pads there, and bins, right, where you'd have to dig. There's no real great way to organize.
Yeah.
I haven't realized for myself where using a custom skew would be advantageous for cards. I mean, it's easier to just make a little label of the player or the year or whatever I want to sort it by. We'll go over some of that next week too, how I do mine, and might not be right for anybody else, but I can show you how I use mine, and it works pretty good for me.
Quick question, Adam. Do you inventory your card in a top loader, or do you not put it in a top loader until you ship it?
No, I don't put anything in a top loader. They take up too much room and they cost too much money.
I thought you shipped yours in top loaders.
Yeah, top loaders are what I use for shipping. So, and I don't have a good example. Well, I
Okay,
do
so
have
you
one.
do ship it in a top loader, but you
Yep,
don't inventory it in a top loader.
correct.
Okay.
So I literally will take like here's a little lot. I shared earlier that I got in the mail of a few Rogers cards. I will literally take them out of the top loaders. They will go in my stack of mailing supplies, top loaders, and then the card will go. These are already sleeved, so I don't take them out of the sleeves. I'll leave them in the sleeve
Hmm.
and put them in their prospective places in my inventory. Because I'm not going to top load something until it sells. There's no point.
Yeah.
So they don't suffer. They're not being played with, or there's no way anything can happen to them. Um, but allows me to use that for a shipping supply, right? Which I can use right away today.
Yeah.
Versus I might sit on that card for a while before it sells. The other
Yeah.
reason is the other reason is let's say obviously this isn't the case, but let's say I sold these three these three Rogers cards, and now they're all top loaded. Now I have to take them all out of top loads because I'm not going to ship them all in an individual top load. I'll put all three sleeved together in like a thicker top load, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, or if they're lower dollar cards, I'll use my card savers. I'll put them in that because I want to ship. I want to make sure I ship them for 60 cents for all three cards.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. So
So,
I've started off. I put it in a top loader before I file it away after I list it. And my thought was, well, when I ship it, I'm going to have a top loader anyway, so
correct.
I'm just a step ahead. But recently, I have been thinking about the storage. Okay, that does take up more room.
Yep.
You can fit probably a third more cards into a box if you don't have them in top loaders. And then the other thing is, as I've picked up the speed of my listings, I'm going through more top loaders
Right.
now.
Exactly.
So I've been
Exactly.
having to run out and get some more versus if I just put them in there when it sells, I've got a little more time to work on it.
So my supplies, I don't use any brand new supplies. I buy lots of, and the more stickers on them and the more whatever, the better price I get,
Yeah.
essentially. Um, so I'll buy like 1,000 top load lot for $50 or whatever on eBay. And that's basically how I use my shipping supplies. So now let's say I buy a lot of these, because remember, I list everything, a lot of commons even. Do I want to top load each common that I list? Probably
Yeah.
not. But let's say I buy a lot of these, what is this? Metal Skybox Metal Universe. Let's say I buy a lot of these and I list them all. I mean, I need like 60 top loads here to do that. Like
Right.
I don't know. I would rather um yeah. Now, let's say I have a like this card which is $20. Uh surface is, potentially could get scratched,
Yep.
things could happen to it. That's the kind of card where I would leave it in a top load. There's pretty good odds I'm going to sell that. Probably sell it as an individual card. Probably won't be like 5 cards together that I'll be shipping. Not
Hmm.
that it can't be, but even so, let's say I sold this refractor and this refractor at $20 a piece. I'm going to individually top load these. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to put
Mhm.
these together in this thing for
Right.
$40 worth of cards. So you just kind of have to use a little bit of the common sense with it. I think so. That's how I
Yeah.
do it. But yeah,
I
like a
think,
like a like a $1, Deion Sanders insert. No, I'm
yeah.
not going to top load all those ahead of time.
And really when you're talking about cards in a box, the penny sleeve should protect them from any sticking together or anything, and
Right.
that's really your main issue. If you're gonna
Right.
have, 3,000 commons in a box for 6 months before they sell,
Right.
penny sleeve is probably plenty. So I
Yep.
think you sold me on that idea.
I don't even penny sleeve a lot of them.
Well, now you're just talking crazy.
If if they come penny sleeved, I'm not going to penny sleeve them.
Yeah.
Because it also can make cards easier to sort through when you're looking for something.
Hmm.
But like a stack of these, they'll literally just go in my drawer like this.
Really?
Yep. So I have a lot of super low end common base stuff that I don't top load at all, or
Okay.
that I don't even sleeve. So, and I get this lot in. I'm not going to sit here with a pack of sleeves and sleeve each one of these things. And yeah, and I've never had a problem. I ship all my cards and they're exactly as the condition is described and photoed, and 100% feedback. So obviously I'm not screwing it up. But yes, I have really nice solid metal fireproof drawers that they go in. Nothing can drop on the box and dent it up. I'm not going to drop the box and they all land on the floor. There really is no risk to those cards, while they're sitting in there. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway,
Food for
Jam
thought.
says he used. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just
What were you
said
gonna
food
say?
for thought with that
Sure.
discussion. I might have to change, some of the things I'm doing.
Yeah. And again, if you want to sleeve them all, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't feel like that's really worth the time and effort. Again, you might not sell those cards for weeks, months, years. I'd
Right.
rather have my sleeves available here for when I sell a card and I put it together to ship it. Now, you're right. I will. You're like, well, I will have to top load this eventually, so why do it now? Well, okay, so I sell this card. I have my little stack of top loads right next to my shipping station. I put the card in there, put my piece of tape on there, add my business card, slap it in an envelope. Really doesn't add anything to time consumption.
Well, and the other thing too is if I keep top loading them all right away, I'm adding to my inventory costs
Right.
versus waiting to expend those supplies when I actually ship it.
Now, when you're buying top loads, are you buying them brand new?
I have been.
Right.
So that was interesting to hear that you're buying lots of used ones, and you struck a nerve with me too because when I'm in the dollar boxes and the value boxes, one thing I hate is when they write prices on them.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. And then after I use them, I take a little Goo Gone and clean the outside of them
Yeah.
off to get that off of
Yeah.
there. So I hadn't really thought about buying used top loaders, probably because that issue is driving me nuts.
And these are all used, and most of them are really nice. It's
Yeah,
most. Here's one with a little sticker, price sticker on it. Here's one with a little like sticker residue on it. I don't care. It's just my shipping supply. If somebody
yeah,
wants to take the time and clean it up and use it in their, that's how they keep their collection or whatever, that's great. But I'm not selling the top load. I'm using that as a
yeah.
shipping supply. So
I mean, I
I need to
definitely
get I
reuse
need
the
to get
ones
those
I
as cheap as possible because that's actually my biggest cost in
right,
shipping, other than obviously postage. But
right.
the sticker is less than 2 cents because I always get a deal on my labels.
Mhm.
The envelope is a little bit over a penny. Um, Actually, my business cards, it might even be more. I think those are like 3 cents a piece.
Mhm.
But advertising is advertising. I think you need to do some of it. I think it's important, especially with the channel too. Get the channel out there.
Yeah,
But anyway, but these are generally, even if you buy them used, you're looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 cents a piece. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're selling a couple hundred cards at maybe the margin is, on if you're selling your super low end stuff, maybe you're only making 30 to 50 cents a card
yeah,
on your profit. I don't want to give up, any more than the 6 or 8 cents I have to supply the top load.
yeah. And I definitely reuse the ones that I get off of purchases.
Hmm.
But that right now that's not enough with how I'm trying to build up
Yeah.
inventory.
I'm hoping at the national this time. I didn't buy them. I wasn't really running a store per se. The last national I went to, but I remember seeing some dealers were selling like giant boxes of used top loads,
Mhm.
pretty cheap. And you obviously shipping is a problem, so I can find these for a pretty good price. But if you're getting 1,000 of them, you're going to have a shipping cost with that,
Right.
obviously.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm hoping that I can pick up a couple of big boxes of, 1,000 count used top loads or whatever for
Yeah.
20, 30 bucks would be awesome. That's one of my things on my list to look to get at the national this year. So yeah, if you go to card shows and stuff and you see somebody, sometimes you'll see a dealer that's like, well, I had a bunch of stuff in card savers and I don't like those. If you can get
Yeah.
them cheap, buy them.
I
They're
mean,
great for shipping.
so far what I've been doing is buying these, 400 packs,
Yep.
whenever I need them. But now that I'm listing so much faster, I've been going through a lot faster, and my sales have been getting more consistent
Yeah.
every day. So it
I mean, I
probably
might
need to,
sell 100 cards in a day, so one of those packs is gone.
right, right,
You know, and that's why, like I said, you have to really watch what your expenses are because your margins are smaller, and it's a quantity game. So you don't want to have to increase your quantity just to make the same amount of money you could have by reducing your supply expense.
right.
So, what are you, if you don't mind me asking, what are you paying for those
I want to say that was $18.
for 400 of them?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so you're at, what is the math on that?
yeah.
So
Both
like,
math guys. Right away, we're going for the calculators, right?
yeah, I have to. So I like math, but I
Like
like it to be
13 cents or
accurate.
something like that.
I think it's like 15. That's what I was gonna say off the top of my head. Oh, that's calendar, Adam. That's not what you want.
400.
Should really put my glasses on. Let's see what the hell I'm doing. You have a calculator up?
Yeah. So $18 divided by 400 top loaders. It's actually about 5 cents a top loader.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all you're paying?
Yeah. That was off of Amazon.
400 of, and it was free shipping?
I believe so. Yeah.
I might have to look into that. Yeah, that's not a bad deal.
Let me double check on the shipping. That just delivered today, actually, along with a
Yeah,
new
because that was one
laptop
of the
for
other
next
things I
week.
was going to look at too. Is some of the supplies dealers at the Nationals will give you case deals where you get
Okay.
like a case of like 20,000 of them for a really good price because they don't have to ship them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They just bring a truck of them there, and you got to haul them away. So
Right. Right.
that was something else I was thinking of doing. Yeah,
Oh,
I'd be surprised.
I was wrong. It was 28, not 18.
It's $28.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
Okay, so
probably
that,
is that 13 cents.
yeah,
I thought I had
13
looked them
cents.
up before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's for me. That's too high. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to pay that much. I was gonna say if you're getting them for a nickel, I'll take like 20,000 of them, please. Um, I'd never seen them that cheap, but my target on those with shipping, so buying the top loaders plus whatever shipping they need to charge to get to me, I try to buy them between 6 and 8 cents a piece, and I've been able to find them pretty consistently for that price. I really don't. I really try not to wait until like, oh, I've got 10 top loaders left. I better buy some because then I got to pay whatever price is out there.
Wherever you can get
You
them.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, I try. When I can see I'm down to like maybe a stack of like 500 or 1,000 of them, then I'll go online and try to buy a couple big box supplies of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice too because I've gotten them where they come in like shoe boxes or 5 row boxes.
Yeah.
Um, is how they ship them, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome because a 5 row box is like $8 or $9 now. So I'll use the top loads out of it, and then I got a nice 5 row box to put my 10 cent or quarter cards in, and I don't have
Yeah.
to buy any boxes.
And I find at our LCSs sometimes I can't find the big packages of them either. So then I'm buying 100 at a time, and I think it's like 350 for 100
Yeah,
of
they're
them or something
expensive.
like that. Yeah.
35 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would kill you. I mean, on any there's some cards where I literally only make like 30 cents.
Right. Hmm.
So these are generally just ones that I've gotten through like this kind of stuff where I buy cards and they ship them in them. These these checklists came
The card saver twos.
in card savers, so I'll just grab them from those. Sometimes I'll get lots of them. I'll buy a lot here or there if they're real cheap. But
Yeah.
these honestly, this is what I don't get. So the people who want to ship in these, like they're the same cost as these. So I don't get why you'd use card savers over the top loaders.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like a penny cheaper if you dig and you find somebody that has some to get rid of. But
Right.
um, I think most people. most people want their card in a top load when it gets delivered. You know, they just feel better about it. It's easier to tape off. It fits perfect in the small envelopes. This is where Bo and I differ too. He uses Card Saver 2s and he only uses business size envelopes.
Oh,
But they fit pretty nice in here. You know, you can put a business card in there and you're still well under thickness. And I don't know, I think that's the best way to do it. It works the best for me. And these business size envelopes cost a lot more than the number 6
they do,
envelopes.
yeah.
You know, you're going from like a penny per envelope to like 3 cents an envelope. So again, why I don't want to spend more cost here, use a card protector that I feel like isn't as rigid as a top. I don't know. So I stick with my top load model. It's worked really well for me. I've had no complaints.
Yeah.
I don't get cards that are crushed. I don't get, because sometimes when I get cards shipped to me this way, this thing will get like all, you know, these can break off here, and
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. So
I haven't had that happen yet, but I could see how that would.
Yeah.
Though that's going to be the quickest break point on those card savers.
Yep, that's what happens. They split right here where the little tongue thing is,
Yep.
and then it could go all kinds of awry from there once that cracks, because it could split down to here. It could get folded. You know, I don't know. There's just a lot more manipulation to them than like this is what it is. It's not, nothing's gonna happen to it.
Right.
And most people like top loads. Most collectors like top loads.
Agreed.
That's what most people put their cards in. So you're kind of like, okay, well, here's something you can keep this card in real nice, and you're done.
Yep.
Versus if people aren't using these, well, now they got to take it out of here. What do they do with this? And I don't know. So I'm generally selling to an end user is the way I look at it. If somebody's going to buy this Tom Brady card, they're not buying it as an investment. They're buying it because they collect Tom Brady cards. This is an insert card they don't have, you know. So I top load it. I get it to them. They put it all with all their other top loaded Tom Brady cards, and they're good to go.
Right.
So I'm completing that end buyer. They don't have to do anything else once they get that card, except for maybe if they have to clean a sticker off.
And personally, I would probably clean that sticker off before I sent it. Just me being me, it's kind of my OCD probably kicking in.
Yeah, you certainly can. I'm not going to take the time to do that. A lot of them have stuff like this where like the dealer put a little colored dot on it.
Yep.
I got a lot of that kind of stuff. Somebody wants to take it off, it's not really that hard to get off. They can do that.
Yep.
So, and again, I'm not selling the top loader. I'm selling the card. Let's see. Aaron says, great idea on the oversized sleeves. I didn't think about that. Yeah, don't waste sleeves. Those are a penny a piece. You sell a 12 card lot and you're sleeving them, that's 12 cents.
Yeah.
That you just gave up. And he says, game changer. Thanks, dude, for showing me. So you're welcome. I hope my little shipping seminar there was valuable to everybody. But yeah, I've basically determined that on a regular card, right, like this card here, I can ship 12 of them in 2 of those card savers taped together for 84 cents. So I basically figure out my lots and pricing and stuff based on that. Jam, hard lesson I learned when I was younger, remove the painter's tape from the wall before the paint dries. See, exactly. Painter's tape isn't, the end all be all either. It has its problems. I started the same way, Charlie, with the top loaders. LOL. Good thing now is I have a few thousand extra that I got a good bulk discount on. Yeah, if you're selling cards regularly, there's no way you can buy brand new supplies. It doesn't make any sense. Let's see, but some cards are so long tail. I don't know what that means. Maybe if they're taller cards, but that's where the card savers then again come in. So I saw a lot of 55 Bowman football. It's one of my little sweet spots in vintage. I've been able to get a lot of good sales out of those. They're tall. They're taller. They're not like tall boy tall, but they're like this much taller.
Right.
Works great. Put them in a sleeve, throw it in the card saver, put a little piece of tape across the opening here. and you're good to go. So there are cards that those definitely work better for. Let's see. Now I just card save, top load anything I list over $20.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's pretty much where I'm at. This is a card I would charge $19.99 for, which is essentially $20. Um, I'll keep those top loaded, but anything under that, yeah, there's no point. I'm not saying it's the smartest thing to do, but for my OCD brain, penny sleeving each card was the compromise to stop top loading them. Whatever works, dude. And when you sell the card, you're gonna definitely top load it or top load it. You're definitely
Leave
gonna
it.
sleeve it. So, I guess you're keeping it from that. But there are times where I might have, like, I showed you guys my haul over the last few days. I have probably 350 to 400 cards that I got in this week. That's $4 in penny sleeves. I gotta, because you're not gonna buy used penny sleeves. I would never do that. But now, if I penny, first of all, it takes a lot of time to penny sleeve all those, and I got $4 into those cards before I even made a sale on any of them.
Yeah.
You know. Now again, if they're all $5 Tom Brady inserts, yeah, I'm gonna penny sleeve those. I'm talking the super low end, card I list for $1.29. I'm not gonna penny sleeve each one of those if they're not currently penny sleeve. Got to manage the time too. Something I always consider. It's not cost for me on the top loaders. I am afraid it gets caught on the mail machine. So I've heard that comment before, and I don't think that's true at all. I've shipped every single one of my cards. Well, I shouldn't say every single one, but 99% of my cards and top loads never had that problem. So um, if you're worried about that, it's one thing you can do. And again, this would add a cost. But after you top load, you could team bag. So if you team bag it, then it should not get caught in the machine anyway, because there's no edges anymore. The edges are what will get caught. So you put it in something like this where it's smoother, and the machine would ride over the baggie inside. So if it was something, a little bit more expensive card or whatever, you
Yep.
could bag it.
Or the other thing that I do, because I still am shipping some of my cards with printed paper labels versus the thermal printer ones.
Yeah.
That label is only half a sheet of paper. I use the other half of the paper and I fold
Yep.
the card up in an
Wrap it around
envelope
there.
size. So
Yeah.
then it's an even distribution all the way through the envelope.
Yeah. I mean, whatever trick you want to use. I do not want to spend any more than I am currently spending on my supply when I ship something.
Mhm.
So I have to make it work with what I have, because I look at it as 7 cents, um, 2 cents for the label. What is it? 2 cents? Yeah, it's about 2 cents for the label, and then a penny for the envelope. So I'm at basically 10 cents on my supplies. I don't really consider this a supply cost. This is actually a marketing cost or an advertising cost, which is how I kind of list. I don't want to get into taxes again, but when you do taxes, there are things you have for your different expense categories, and that's part of my advertising budget. So anyway, for shipping, I basically spend 10 cents to ship, and I don't want to spend a dime more than that if I don't have to. Let's see, a lot of great tips as usual. I am a big fan of Josh Unboxed. I am glad you gave him a well-earned shout out. Baseball Card Illustrated, welcome to the show. I think this is your first time in the chat. I hope you're still here. It's been a while since you since you made this chat, but yeah, I think he's a super nice guy. I think he has a decent. He definitely makes quality videos. I think he's a little bit green in some of the card sale part of it, but he's definitely um, truthful. He's very honest. He's very transparent. Like, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm not doing, and this is how I've made money, this is how I've lost money, and so on. So, yeah, he's got a good channel. I really enjoy it. Um, let's see. Aaron S. Good point on the paper idea. Both time when card came in damage did not have any paper inside the envelope. Yeah, so I think that's a viable solution. I'm not going to do that because I haven't had those problems whenever I've shipped cards the way I do it, and B, it's another time thing. I don't print on paper; I print on a label, so I'd have to like buy paper just for that and then cut it in
Yeah.
half.
For me, I
And
would
then,
just be throwing that half a piece of paper away anyway. So
right.
I found a way to make use of it.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
it better packages it. Plus, I write a thank you on that sheet of paper as it's wrapped around the card, just as a nice touch. I mean, if I was selling 300 cards a day, am I still going to be writing thank you on every single one? I don't know, but right now it's
Yeah.
manageable for me, and I think it's a nice
That's
touch.
where these come in.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thank you. It's,
Hmm.
it's a way for them to remember who I am. They can scan this and save my store to
Yep.
their favorites, so you get that repeat business. So that's sort of how I solved that. Like I said, it's a tad bit of an expense. They come in handy at card shows. I hand quite a few of them out. You've seen that
Yeah.
doing a show with me. Um, People want to know, hey, what's the address to your YouTube channel? Well, here, scan this thing. Um, so yeah, you know where my brain goes when you say, hey, I got this half sheet of paper, it's just going to be wasted. You know what I think of?
What?
You can print 2 labels on a piece of paper.
Yeah, except right now I'm printing 2 labels just to get one good one out of the damn thermal printer. So
Yeah, I don't think it's the printer. I think it's your labels.
it could be
So
we've troubleshooted a lot of different issues to get where I'm at right now. And I've probably wasted 200 labels getting to where I can print one
yeah,
out now. But I've about had it with it. Like I think my mistake was I went cheap and bought a cheap one.
yeah,
And I probably should have spent a little more on a quality thermal printer.
yeah. A good thermal printer, and since we brought it up, and we're trying to go over our costs on things and saving our time and our whatever. I think a good thermal printer is anywhere from 100 to $150.
Hmm.
If you need Bluetooth, you're going to spend a little bit more for that. If you're trying to
Yep.
print from your phone or something. But if you hardwire, you can save a few bucks
Yep.
um, on the printer. Not having to have the Bluetooth connection. So I think my printer was like 120, 125, something like that, and it works perfect. I've never had a problem with it. Usually, I think I've told you this too, on a new spool of labels, usually that first 1 or 2 labels doesn't print well. I don't know if they get, because of the packaging, they're just wrapped in like cellophane or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know if the cellophane sort of affects those first couple stickers, but I might have 2 or 3 on a waste. And then everything starts printing just fine after that. But you have to calibrate the machine when you put a new rack of labels in too.
Yeah, you got to hold the button down or the feed button or something like
Yeah,
that.
and it should feed a label all the way out, pull it all the way back,
Hmm.
and then push it into the right place where it's ready to print.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I think my problem is I spent $60 on it and all the instructions were in Mandarin.
yeah, yeah. I sent you a link to one.
You did. You
You
did.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. That's probably, if you're gonna regularly print labels, that's something you're definitely gonna want to
Yeah.
invest a few bucks and maybe try to sell the $60 one, get a couple bucks back, and
Yeah.
then buy a good one or ask for one for Christmas. I don't know,
Getting
whatever your
closer though.
prerogative is there.
I sent a few out this week with thermal labels on them.
Yeah, because I couldn't even imagine doing this without a thermal printer at this point. So I I, I kind of keep feeling like I'm getting that much closer to a scanner, and then I'm like, I just don't like the scanner. So
Yeah. Hmm.
versus the thermal printer, I was like, hell yeah, get me one of those. And like I said, I was extremely fortunate. I had a viewer that bought one and sent one to me. And my first 2,000 labels, so it cost me literally nothing.
Yeah.
Other than I had no computer to use, so I had to buy a computer. Because I was printing from my phone. I was doing what you did, printed it on a paper. And then what I would do is I'd turn the paper around and print a second label. So I
Okay.
got 2 labels per sheet of paper. And then just cut them out in half or whatever and tape them on. But yeah, game changer. Thermal printer is, there's no other way to go for sure. I know Rolo is like the big advertised one for like big resellers and stuff. They buy Rolo brand.
Okay.
Those are a little more expensive. I think they're closer to like $200.
Yeah.
But a lot of dealers swear by those. Um, I've had absolutely no issues with mine. I'm going to keep running it, and labels are very affordable. I can always find deals on them. I shouldn't
Hmm.
say always, but most of the time I can find like a coupon or on sale or a lightning deal or something like that on them. And so I just kind of keep reordering what's been working.
Yeah.
So Jam says he's got to bounce. He's probably gone already. Thanks so much for the show and for your time. Catch you next time. Have a good night, y'all.
Yeah, I think this
Thanks
is the
again so
longest we've
much.
gone so far.
Yeah, well, we're at 2 hours and 54 minutes because I did about 35 minutes or so before you got here.
Oh, I think you did
40
more than
minutes.
that before I got here. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Um,
was a bit. So yeah, I think we're probably we're getting new viewers, which is interesting. I'm looking at the count, and we had a couple more just jump on, which is funny after 3 hours. But
yeah.
yeah, I think we're gonna fold it up pretty soon here and get to bed and save some topics for next week. So what we're looking for next week right now is how to find good lots to buy. If you want to be a lot splitter, which is generally what most low end card sellers are, other than show buyers or value box buyers at stores, right? Card
Right.
stores. Some seller metrics, how to read them, what's important, what isn't,
Yep.
how does it work for low end sellers. And then the last one would be storage and inventory management, some tips there. Look at this. Got any Roseanne trading cards? I don't know if this is a troll or what's going on here, but I love it. I love it. I love
I
the
bet
old
you there's some out there.
dude, the old Roseanne picture with the big perm. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such an amazing show. I do not have any Roseanne cards. If they made some, I would definitely purchase them. I think like a, a stand-up card of her or something would be really rad. Something like
Yeah.
that would be cool. Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I'll look into it. I have never thought of Roseanne cards. There's probably something out there. She says, thanks anyway. So, but thanks for the question, Roseanne. Appreciate it.
Nice.
All right. So on that, I think our time here is up. Any final thoughts here?
Yeah, I've got a quick throwback. We talked the last couple weeks about how I was trying to diversify my inventory and add
Yeah.
different sports and things like that. And one of the things I took a chance on was buying a lot of NASCAR. And I have to say that has been a strong seller for me.
Yeah.
I thought it had a really good, strong fan base, so that to me made sense as something to diversify into. So I've been selling those fairly regularly, and I had a nice surprise actually earlier today. You know how it goes; you kind of go in a buying spurt, and then you slow
Yep.
down buying for a while. Well, you get boxes and stuff sitting all over that you're still waiting to list. And I picked one up today that had a binder full of Star Wars cards in it, but
Nice.
I believe that was delivered to me by the mailman while I was sorting all the NASCAR cards. And I had tucked away a few of the NASCAR cards in that box with that binder and
Sweet.
surprisingly found them today. And I have, I don't know, 6 or 8 of these Richard Petty cards that were in
Nice.
that box. I started looking at these today. Just these cards will pay for what I paid for that lot of NASCAR cards. And then everything else I've sold so far out of that is pure profit, and I've got another couple hundred cards to go. Which,
See, and that's what I'm talking about. That's where the power of lots comes in. You don't even necessarily have to have a really good solid lot. You just need a few cards in there where you can make the money.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
exactly.
if some of the other cards are a little bit tough seller and they sit around, like say you got a bunch of Ken Harvick driver cards in there and you're like, well, he's not a hot seller, but you got the space and you can let it sit for a little while. You don't have any money in it. There's no capital in it. It's just an asset to you that once at some point will sell and
Yeah,
it'll be all profit, other than
nice,
your expenses, of course. But
nice Ken Harvick pull, by the
yeah, the reason I mentioned Ken Harvick is because I literally got a Ken Harvick card in one of those Sports Illustrated for Kids magazines. So
Okay,
it was in my brain.
I'm selling some of
Um,
this.
but yeah, I agree. I think thinking outside the box is a strong move. I saw a lot of like Pac-Man cards and
Mhm,
I
mhm.
mean just stuff you wouldn't really think moves. Look for stuff that doesn't have a ton of printing.
Yep,
Especially if you can get lots of them really cheap. If you can get a 50 card lot for like $5, if you
yep,
sell a couple cards out of that, you're break even. You don't have a strong pressure to, man, I really got to sell all these and I got to sell them at top dollar or I'm not going to make them.
right.
I got all this capital tied up in this stuff. Those are not the things you take a chance on. You take a chance on the things where you can get the larger quantity for a cheap price.
Yeah.
I can easily take advantage of it. So, well, good. That's awesome. I'm glad
Yeah.
that NASCAR. I haven't done a ton of, you and I talked about it a little bit. I haven't done a ton of NASCAR. I've sold a few, but I stick to mainly the big names like Dale Earnhardt, and got a couple Tony Stewart cards and
Yep.
things like that. Other than the Sports Illustrated for Kids, which I had some Ford Team Racing ones, which I don't even know any of the drivers. Like they're literally names I've never heard of, and I've sold a few of those. So you're right. There's definitely a market for it. There's not a ton of cards printed
Yeah.
for them. Um, Here's one of the things that I think is a key about NASCAR cards. It's the same thing with like tennis and golf and all that. They fall in the same important category for me, and that's that it's an individual effort sport.
Yeah.
So if you're a Tony Stewart guy, I mean, you got the hat, you got the jacket, you got the flag with his name on it, you got his 1/16th scale card
Exactly.
in the
Yep.
back. You're going to buy Tony Stewart cards. Why wouldn't you?
Yep.
So I think that that's something that's key to it versus like, okay, well, Brady's great, but I'm actually a Gronk fan, or I like defensive players, or
Yeah.
um, that's probably a bad example because a quarterback does have an individual, but other sports, right? It's most of it is team
Yeah.
versus when you're a driver, it's you in that car and that's it. There's background people that change your tires and do that kind of stuff, but
Right.
it's individual effort sports, and those have really held value or increased value um, over a lot of the other stuff that's gone down from what I've seen. So
Yeah.
Tiger stuff sells instantly. Um, I've sold a ton of tennis cards, a lot, Ava Mataya, that's an individual sport.
Yep.
I've tried to focus a little bit more on some of those. I think there's a good reason to buy those.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, NASCAR is doing well.
Yep.
Um, what are my final thoughts? I'd say buy lots, split them up, keep on the lookout, keep making those sales, and next time we'll have some more tips, some more chat, hopefully get some more feedback. Dave Snyder just joined us 3 hours in and said, hello from Buffalo. Just saw this was live. Well, you're going to want to watch most of it, after we post because we're just about done.
Yeah.
But that being said, for those who are in here watching and have joined us late, I want to reiterate that Charlie and I are going to do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. We will do live. It will obviously be posted for viewing afterwards. But we'd love to have as many of you join. Crap. We'd love to have as many of you join us live as possible so that we can all participate together in the chat. I think that's a lot of fun. I really have a good time with getting more voices rather than me just making a video and you have to listen to me babble for
Sure.
whatever time it takes.
Yeah, it is
So
fun sometimes letting the chat direct where we take the show, right?
yeah, and um, I find that having you on the show makes it a lot better for me too. Um, I tried running this myself for the first half hour or so, and I'm like, God, what the heck do I talk about? I'm just listening to myself. I can't it's hard to have a conversation with yourself,
Yeah.
even though there's people in the chat, it was still mostly me just talking and showing off cards and things like that. So I like the live format. I like the 2-person one. I think it adds a lot more to it. Um, we come up with ideas maybe one of us hadn't thought of or does differently or whatever. And I think that healthy conversation is something that I think lacks big time in today's society.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I'm going to leave this show with is, hey, talk to other people, get some other ideas, share your ideas. That's the best way for all of us to grow, move forward, and make ourselves be better the next day. Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. So Dave Snyder, I hope to see you next week at 7, not 10:05. Join us. Hopefully you can make it. And we live in our dollar boxes too. I understand exactly what you're saying. and let's see if we can get you on next week and we can share some more of those experiences. Thanks, Charlie, for joining me. I know you had a lot going on tonight, so I appreciate you making it work.
Yep, always a pleasure.
All right, have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week, 7 p.m.